press the button right now. That is done. We are live. Hello. Thanks everyone for joining for this crazy crossover episode. Lewis and I with our bland backgrounds, and then Jesse and Victor with their more professional branded backgrounds.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
this is gonna be a fun one. So we're gonna start with Fantasy Hockey Life. So I guess you guys will like introduce the podcast, like introduce the draft and the rules and everything. So I'll just like, yeah. So how about just I'm gonna start the recording. So one sec here, recording myself and this, and then record. Okay. Yeah, so let's oh, when at the time, like throw to me and I will generate the draft order and I'll share my screen and do that.
Yeah.
So, but I'll let you go ahead and start it
I'll
since the first
I'll
episode
get
is
us
FHL.
yeah, I'll get us started on the rules and then I'll kick over to you, Elon.
Sure.
Because you may get them a little more correct than me.
And what was
But
the rule again for defense? We were saying 8 defensemen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
so 24 and 8. Is that
24 and 8,
right?
that makes
Well,
32.
I think you're allowed to do more than 8. Let's just say at least 8 defensemen
Oh,
and
sure.
then
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
however many forwards. Yeah.
That
Okay.
makes sense to me. All right. We're back, and it is now 4 of us. Elon Dabrowski, myself, Victor Nuno, Louis Ezekiel. We are all here on the Keeping Karlsson live screen, and we are ready to do a draft. We're ready to go through all 32 teams, and if you're not familiar with our format, we select which team is going to be picked, and then each of the 4 of us are going to take one player in a particular sequence, which I'll have Elon explain to me in a minute because I will goof it. But we are basically going through that at the end of the draft. We have to have at least 8 defensemen, and we will have 32 players on our team. And we'll start, I believe, January 1st. And at the end of the season, whoever has the most points, that is straight up points, goals plus assists, is the winner. And so the 4 of us will be competing in that category. But Elon, when we get past that and we start talking about the order of how we're selecting teams and how we select players beyond that, perhaps you can help take it from there.
All right. Yeah. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite back on the Fantasy Hockey Life podcast. Yeah. So this is the draft. As you said, we're each going to take turns. Whoever has first pick in the round also picks the team for that round. And the other big rule is that the only players eligible for this draft are people that are less than 95% rostered in the cupfuls. There's like 40 plus divisions in the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League. And Kevin A. Bear has generated a bunch of awesome stats for us. And I think this is one of the most valuable cupful percent rosters. You look at Yahoo percent rostered or Fantrax, and it's like those are all different league formats. And also there's a bunch of dead leagues here. It's like you could know this is a good way to tell like which players are like super valuable, which ones aren't as much according to the couple managers. But yeah, we're making this tough on ourselves by restricting it at less than 95. So all the big stars aren't going to be available. So with that in mind, I've shared my screen here for people watching live. I've got random.org open so everyone knows I'm not doing any shenanigans. I'm going to click randomize right now. And Jesse, Elon, Victor, Lewis. Let me throw this in here. Jesse, then Elon, Victor, Lewis. And we're snaking this time. So the first 4 rounds, that will be the order. But then the next 4 rounds, it'll be Lewis, then Victor, then Elon, then Jesse. And each round, though, still will go in the same order. Like if Jesse picks first, it goes Jesse, Elon, Victor, Lewis. Then afterwards, when I'm first, it'll be Elon, Victor, Lewis, Jesse, and vice versa. You know, so we'll figure it out as we go. My spreadsheet will tell us what to do. So with that, I don't need to share my screen anymore. And I guess, Jesse, you get the first overall pick in the draft.
Oh boy, this is pressure because like everybody probably has a sense of who would be the best player to take at this point. I'm going to think strategically about this. Maybe I shouldn't be this early in the draft, but I'm going to take the Philadelphia Flyers and Cam York so that I have a power play 1 defenseman going in, and I don't necessarily like the lower guys on that roster. So let's go with Cam York.
All right, so it comes to me for Philly. You've got, oh yeah, did we mention? Yeah, everyone needs to have at least 8 defensemen by the end of this. So there's 32 teams. We're gonna have 32 picks. 8 have to be D. So that's good that Jesse is able to knock one out. Actually, I'm gonna give you guys all have access to this spreadsheet. Let me just change it here so you all have right access. So then Jesse, you can put in your own pick here. But I get this started here. Philly, and you got Cam York. Okay, so now it's my pick on the Flyers. Yeah, interesting. So we could mention, by the way, the people that are not available, right? So I'm looking at the couple percent rostered on Philly, and I'm not going to be able to take Konechny, Sanheim, Couturier, Farabee, Tippett, and that's it. Everyone else is up for grabs. I think it's a pretty easy choice for me, but of course with Tortorella switching things up, who knows if like in a week I'll regret it. But for now, I guess I've got to go with top line and top power. Well, I guess not top line, but top power play. Tyson Forrester is even. I think they've already changed it actually. Couturier, Konechny, Tippett, and Frost were the top power plays. I don't know, is Forrester even the best? But anyway, I'll go Forrester. He seems good. He's having a good season so far. But I think this is like really just even. Like me, Victor, and Lewis all are going to get someone decent. But Victor, your pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're all there's some interesting players. That was an interesting pick to go this one first, Jesse, but I understand getting a decent defenseman. And yeah, there's a couple guys that I actually want that I won't spoil, but I just worry that Tortorella is going to relegate them to the bottom. So I think I'm going to go with maybe a bit of a safer pick because he's been in this position for most of the season, and I really like him. I wrote about him over at EP Ringside, and I think that he's on the up and up, and that's Morgan Frost. I'm going to take him. Second line center, sometimes gets top power play and gets pretty decent wingers to play with too. So I'll go Frost.
Over to Lewis.
All right. Well, stuck here with the last pick. I am going to go with a guy who is shooting a ton and not seeing a lot for it. I'll grab Cam Atkinson with over 100 shots and only 8 goals, and hopefully he can turn things around a little bit. Not a great option necessarily for that last grab, but when you're left with the dregs, you take what you can get there. So I'll take Atkinson.
All right. So then it's over to me to start the next round here. I'm going to have first pick on a team. And yeah, I think I know who I want. I really like this guy, actually. I think he's just really starting to go off. He's recently gotten top power play. So I'm going to the Arizona Coyotes next. And the players I'm not eligible to take are Schmaltz, Keller, Dursey, and Lawson Krause. They're all over 95. But give me 79% rostered. And I think it's criminally low. I think he should be higher. I would want him in my division if he was available. So give me Matthias Michelli over on the Coyotes. He keeps on getting, and the nice thing here is he's more of an assist guy generally, but here we're playing points only, so I don't have to worry about a lack of peripherals or goals. So I'm pretty happy to get Michelli here. And yeah, over to Victor.
Yeah, when I looked at all these teams, Arizona was my number one pick in terms of the team that I wanted because I thought Michelli was by far and away the best. And yeah, I think he is criminally under rostered, but in a format like a cupful, it's a little bit difficult because he doesn't do anything else. He just gets assists. But in this format, he's fantastic. So if you have a points only or points heavy league, then absolutely you should be happy about this one. There's some decent options here. I mean, Arizona much better than we thought. So I think I'm going to take. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take what?
I was gonna be like, oh, you don't have this all prepped in advance. Come on, man.
Well, I was hoping I was going to get
Wow.
Michelli. I do have it all prepped. I'm just trying to decide. I guess I'll go with Alex Kerfoot. He's been getting some top line deployment with Schmaltz Keller. I don't really believe in him too much long term, but he's a decent option, I guess.
All right. Well, this was one I was hoping to get as well. I had Michelli highlighted as a guy I definitely wanted to go after. I am going to grab a defenseman. I'll take JJ Moser here. Obviously, we had the big kind of Jersey explosion the other night, but Moser's been a guy who has made a push here and there and has shown that he's been capable. And I like him as a low-owned defenseman to fill out one of those slots here since I didn't get my top choice.
Yeah, this one gets obviously any team where you're going down this deep starts to get a little bit rougher, but I'm going to bet on the upside in a guy who's starting to get on the score sheet a little bit, starting to, and perhaps will climb up the minutes in power play time, and that will be Logan Cooley as my pick for the Arizona Coyotes.
Over to Victor.
All right, so I'm excited. This was my second top team that I really wanted, and I'm going to go to Florida because I think there's a clear top guy here. And I'm going to take Evan Rodriguez. He's been getting some pretty good deployment, and he's getting, decent number of points. So I'm happy to take him. So Florida, Evan Rodriguez.
Yeah, nice grab there. I like that a lot. Oof, let's see. Not a lot left to choose from here, so I'm looking at Gustav Forsling, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Nico Mikkola, pretty much all defense here as well. I'm going to go OEL. He stepped into that role. If we see something happen with Montour, he's been kind of slow. Maybe OEL or finds his way back onto that top power play at some point. Just seems like a little bit of a safer grab than G-Force here. So, two defensemen so far out of my first three.
Ugh. Yeah. Remember when Gustav Forsling was so cool because he he was covering things back in the great year of the Stanley Cup Finals run? I am going to go with that nostalgia, take another defenseman off the board, and take Gustav Forsling.
Florida is not a good team to go fourth on, I guess. Forsling would have been a good one. I was hoping you would maybe you love your prospects. I thought you would have gone for Lundell. I guess Lundell's not even a prospect anymore at this point. Yeah,
He was next on my list. He was next on my list.
So obviously, Ekblad, Montour, Bobrovsky. Well, obviously Bobrovsky. Okay, Kachuk. How's Bobrovsky on this list? I didn't do this right. But anyways, Kachuk, Verhaeghe, Barkov, Reinhart, Bennett, all not available to us. I'll just take a defenseman also. I'll admit I hadn't heard of Nico Mikkola since the start of this season. And he got some decent prifs, got points here and there. So I don't really want to take London. I mean, here, let me just take a quick look at the Florida line combos in their last game. Yeah, they got Erod, Reinhardt, and Barkov on one line for Heggie, Kachuk, and Bennett. So the whole top six is either unavailable or taken now. So give me top pairing with Montour and Mikkola. And I guess that's my lot in life. So over to Lewis to start the next round.
All right. Well, I think I am going to take us down to Carolina because I have an opportunity to sneak in just under that 95% limit and grab Toivo Teravainen at 94% owned. I like him with the other options on board here. We've got Bunting, you've got Kotkaniemi as possibilities here, but I like Teravainen to outscore those guys.
Lewis. Yeah, come on. What are you doing, man?
Oh, you guys have made
all the picks.
All right. Well, it probably won't be the last time, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab Toivo here.
Yeah.
Can I say a note for off the show? I think we should mention the players who are not available. I think is the thing the listeners will want to hear, who was ineligible. If you go to the percent rostered tab and scroll to the team, you could quickly see the people that are above 95. But if not, I'll throw it when it's my turn. But anyways, okay, sorry. So
have that be the person who's doing the picking.
Yeah, I think it would be good at Carolina. Here's who we can't take. Here's
great. Yep.
Yeah.
That's probably good for the game.
All right, but anyways, okay, over to Jesse.
So Toivo Teravainen off the board, not a problem. According to the current listings, Michael Bunting is on the first power play. We know he's on.
Wait, why is
the
it
second
Jesse?
line?
It doesn't it? Oh
no.
Oh, I see.
It keeps sneaking in that direction.
Yeah, every round is going to be.
Okay.
We stay. In
this is what I get. Yeah. This is what I get for not having the first pick again until number 8. So.
yeah, I got it. I'm sorry. I thought for some reason we were going to go the other way. No.
All right, I'll start back up.
Yeah, we're only snaking the first pick, but the order per round is always the same. Yeah.
So knowing that Teravainen is off the board, I will still take the guy who is listed on the second line, listed on the top power play right now, and that will be Michael Bunting of the Carolina Hurricanes. So give me Michael Bunting, and let me hope that he has a good second half.
All right, and then so that leaves me with not the most exciting guy, but for a third pick on Carolina. When the obvious guys that you would want to take that aren't available: Svechnikov, Burns, Brady Shea. Actually, he would have been a good defenseman to take, but he's 100% rostered right now. I have him on my team. I was thinking of dropping him. That might go down soon. Slavin also, Natchez, Jarvis, Aho, all unavailable to me. So then Tavo and Bunting also. So I guess I'll take Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who every once in a while gets a Svechnikov as a centerman. Carolina, you're talking about Bunting on the top line. That's going to change in a day. They always change those lines. So I think Kotkaniemi is the clear choice here. I'm curious. No, Victor disagrees.
Why did you say Nason is unavailable? Because he's 13%
I say
rostered.
Nason is unavailable.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that. I must have
Oh.
meant someone else. Oh, Jarvis. Did I say someone when I
Oh,
should have said
yeah.
Natchez?
Nason?
Maybe
Oh,
Natchez?
Nature. I said Natchez, not
Oh.
Nason.
Oh. Well, that's my pick, Nason. Because yeah, he is getting, as we know, fourth line, but top power play and actually has more a better point pace on the season than Kotkaniemi. But obviously Kotkaniemi getting better even strength deployment. So um anyways, I think that Nason just continues to do it. He just continues to get top power play and getting a reasonable number of points. Right now, he's a 0.6 points per game, so that's pretty decent for a bottom guy, fourth on the team. I'll take that.
Right, so we're snaking around, which means Lewis gets first again. Oh, but you're muted.
Yeah, we're gonna head over to Dallas. We've got a number of guys unavailable: Thomas Harley, Miro Heiskanen, Rupe Hintz, Matt Duchene, Jason Robertson, Joe Pavelski, and Tyler Sagan, all unavailable for selection here. But there is one guy who gets that power play one time and is playing on a pretty nice second line. So we're gonna add Jamie Benn to the roster here. I think he stands out head and shoulders above the other available options that I am leaving you behind with here on the Dallas roster.
Hey, all right. I don't mind having the second pick on this one. And is this the smart money? Maybe not, but I do like me some Wyatt Johnson. So I'm going to take him as my Dallas Stars pick. I just see the ceiling is the roof with Mr. Johnson.
Well, I would say that Lewis, the what I think is a good pick, but I'll quibble with what you said about Ben being on the second line. I kind of think of it as like Sagan, Duchesne, and Mason Marchment is that second line, and Ben is on the top power play. But I don't know the Ben Dodonov Johnston line. I don't know. Just I think of it as the third, but I guess who cares? I guess we're nitpicking, but I'll take the second liner according to me that's still available in Mason Marchment here, and I think that really hampers Victor. I think he gets a bad pick here, but we'll see.
Yeah, these options are not great after what's left. I'm kind of surprised and also heartened to see that Thomas Harley is 100% rostered in the cupful. He's someone I've been a fan of for a long time. Looking at the options here, there's really not much left, frankly. I mean, there's some decent guys that have good peripherals like Yanni Hakanpää, who bangs Esa Lindell, but he doesn't do a lot of scoring. It's either him or, yeah, like you said, Dodonov, who isn't on the sheet as far as I can tell. But
Yeah, he is. He's there.
I don't see him. He's not on the
Yeah,
roster percent.
I
So,
have it sorted by percent, and then I
Oh,
sorted it
sorry.
alphabetically.
Roster percent. If he's not rostered in any couple divisions, then he's not going to be in the roster percent sheet.
Okay.
So
okay.
in the skaters sheet has everyone.
Okay. Yeah. So Dodonov 0.47 points per game. And then I think I'm just gonna add one of my defensemen because Esa Lindell is not someone who's super exciting for points. He bangs a lot, but and he's been really cold. So maybe he'll turn things around. His 5-on-5 shooting percentage has been low and his secondary assist rate is low. So maybe he'll turn things around. Probably not, but Esa Lindell will be my pick.
And then Victor, looks like you get another pick now because we're snaking back, and now you're first. You go from last to first.
All right. Well, I'm excited because there's, I think, some pretty decent top teams that I would want to go first with. So, yeah, this is a good one. I think that I'm gonna go to Winnipeg, and I like what's been happening there with obviously they've had some injuries and they've had moved things around a little bit, but I like the top guy that I'm going to take. But I guess I should mention first who is not available. Um, wait, how do I do this? Sorry, I'm struggling to understand your sheet because I made my own prep, Elon.
If you just go to the
Um,
percent rostered and then to scroll down to
oh,
Winnipeg
right,
guys.
there we go. Yeah. Right. So on Winnipeg, we have a bunch of guys that you would expect are not available. Gabe Vilardi, Nick Ehlers, Connor Hellebuyck, obviously, no goalies. Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey, Mark Scheifele, and then there's a couple of guys under that 95%. But I'm gonna go with Cole Perfetti. He's been on that second line at oftentimes top power play too. So, and he's someone who I think is really trending up. He's been getting better and better and improving his all around play. So I really like what I've been seeing there. Unfortunately, he hasn't always been on the top power play, but I'm going to take Cole Perfetti because I think that even strength, he can get a decent number of points rest of the season.
Yeah, nice. This is an interesting choice here because I could fill a D slot potentially, or I could grab who I think will probably be a more successful forward. But I think Jesse is going to like my selection here because I'm going to go ahead and take Neil Pionk at 85%. Not a huge scorer, but somebody who, is getting on the score sheet every once in a while. I've streamed him in here and there throughout the season. So even though there is a forward that I kind of want to grab, I'm going to take the opportunity to fill out a third D slot. So 6 picks in, I've got 3 of my D slots filled. I'm feeling pretty good about that. That should give me some opportunities towards the end of the draft, I hope, where I'm not being forced to shoehorn in a really crummy D and get a halfway decent one here.
Well, the couple rostership percentages say one thing, but I'm going against the grain, probably leaving Elon something really nice here. But I'm going to go with Alex Iafallo. He has a better power play deployment than some others who may come up in this discussion. And while there's a possibility that the return of Mr. Kyle Connor could mess him up, and Kyle Connor's unavailable, so I think I get to talk about him. I still want Iafallo because those former Kings are just thriving up there north of the border.
All right. Well, yeah, I was hoping that maybe Pionk would fall to me and I could fill a second D. Getting a little nervous about that, but I guess I gotta go Nino. He's the top points per game of the people left available. He's on a line with Lowry and Appleton. These lines have been nuts. They need to get Connor back. I saw Connor skating today, so maybe soon Connor will be back. But anyways, I'll take Nino Niederreiter. Hope he could have a couple of multi-point games for me. And that takes us to round 7. And I've got the first pick over here. There's just not any D that I want as a first pick at this point. So I'm going to go with a forward that I'm pretty excited about over in Pittsburgh. Rickard Rakell is back. I'm sure he's going to get close to 100%. We locked in these roster percentages a couple days ago. I don't even know if maybe Rakell's gone up since he had his big game recently. But yeah, give me top line, top power play, Rickard Rakell here to start off the Pittsburgh Penguins and over to Victor.
Yeah, that's a good one. He's definitely been good since he's been back, and I don't mind this at all because I think there's a pretty decent second pick. I think it slows down a little bit after that, but I'm gonna take Riley Smith, who's been pretty good all season, and his opportunity may be hurt slightly by Rakell coming back, but I still think he should be pretty decent. So Riley Smith for me.
All right. This puts me in another spot here. I've got a couple options. And friends, I'm going D again. I'm just going D heavy here. I can't not do it. I haven't gotten to do a show, so I haven't gotten to celebrate my Marcus Pettersson stream. I figured I was talking with Elon about this, 3 chances for him to I told him it was probably my best bet to get me 3 cupful points with his peripherals, and he just went off for a 4-point game. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Marcus Pettersson. Do I think the scoring will keep up the way it has? No, but certainly seems, at least in the last game, that this Pittsburgh offense is running somewhat from the blue line. So I think he's going to get a chance to get involved. That's my guy here. Yet another defenseman for my squad.
Wow. Yeah. This is one of the teams you really don't want to be last on, folks. I guess I'll go with the guy who actually is rostered somewhere in Couple beyond this, and that's Valtteri Puustinen. I kind of wish I was taking a defenseman here, but at least he's been off to a little bit of a hot start in his career. He had 2 points on December 27th, so that's a good thing. And then that takes me right back, right? I get the first pick this time, and a couple of the teams that I was hoping to get a higher up pick on are still available. I am going to go to Victor's favorite team, the Vegas Golden Knights, and take some Chandler Stevenson, the bane of my existence, who somehow continues to thrive despite the fact that I cannot see him as any more than a Caps fourth liner. So Chandler Stevenson for me.
All right. So yeah, Stevenson gone. And yeah, that really doesn't leave too much. Like there's a lot of players that are not available to be taken on Vegas. Shea Theodore, Barbashev, Petrangelo, McNabb, more so for the peripherals, but that's what we're going with. William Karlsson, Marchessault, and then of course Stone and Eichel. And then yeah, it really dips after that. Stevenson at 34% roster, then everyone is like 13 or less. I guess I'll just take a D here since it's like this kind of stinks. Jess, you kind of screwed me here because like this is one of my second picks. Like I want to get someone good with a second pick, and instead I think I'm gonna go with I guess I'm just trying to check quickly Vegas's last game to confirm this choice. I guess maybe I'll take Nicholas Hague. Does he even play every game? He has 7 points in 29 games. No, I'm not gonna take him. All right. You know what? I changed my mind. Sorry, I'm doing this on the fly here. I'm supposed to be a professional and have this all prepped. I know I was already ragging on Victor earlier for this, but I'm realizing I just didn't know. I didn't think through what was going to happen here. Okay, you know what? I'll take a forward.
You don't have this all prepped, Elon?
I know I'm the worst. Give me Paul Cotter. He's playing on a line with Marchessault and William Karlsson recently. I need to pick D at some point. This isn't great, but I don't know. I think Paul Cotter has the best chance of getting points of the people left. Maybe even more than Stevenson, to be honest. So Jesse, you hurt both of us. I don't know why you had to do this, but okay, over to Victor.
I totally feel you. I was thinking the same thing. Like, who the heck am I going to pick? I really wanted Chandler Stevenson, even though Jesse sees him only as a fourth liner. But yeah, and I'm actually realizing what you're doing, Lewis, is super smart because you have half your D taken care of. I have one, and I'm definitely not taking a D on this team. So yeah, to me, it's between a couple of the bottom guys. I'm gonna go with Nick Waugh. I think he's been a little bit more consistent, even though he's basically getting fourth line deployment, but maybe he'll get one of those good forwards to play with. So Nick Waugh for me.
All right, yeah, and I feel like I'm also picking from a bunch of kind of unappealing equals. I'm going to go ahead and grab Michael Amadio, only a point less than Chandler Stevenson on the season, shooting more. 5 minutes less a game is not great, but hopefully he'll be able to give me a few points there from that fourth slot here.
All right. And I think that brings it back around to me, right? I did the naughty thing last time, and I don't think I said the players who were already rostered on this team, but nonetheless, it starts to get, boy, it starts to get a little bit weird here. But strategically, I think I'm going to try to correct my greatest mistake from last year, and that is I should have taken Seattle's Matty Beniers. Just for posterity's sake, Vince Dunn, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Jared McCann, and Ellie Tolvanen are unavailable, but Matty Beniers is. So I'm taking him, even though he's had a struggling first half, and I'm hoping for a strong second half.
Okay, yeah, this is another team where there's like a lot of similar people to me. And like maybe it's a good opportunity to take a defenseman, but I'm just gonna not do it and like see how this works out. So yeah, if you look at the line combos for Seattle recently, it's been Beniers with Eberle and Tatar. I guess now I'm like doing some table talk here, but just reminding myself of who's been with who. Like they have a couple good players who unfortunately have been injured, right? Like Jaden Schwartz is out right now. Otherwise, he would have been good. I am seeing that Burakovsky just played his first game back yesterday versus Philly. I don't even think I clocked that, but he was on the top power play. So yeah, hopefully he'll actually stay healthy this time. I'm not picking a guy who's about to get injured again, but give me Burakovsky. I think it's pretty good for a second pick. Over to Victor.
Yeah, this is both easy and hard, right? Because they have so many options, but they're all kind of even, which is frustrating. I want to pick somebody who's been really good, but he's getting healthy scratch, so I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. And I do. You took Burakovsky and Beniers, right? So Oh man, this is so hard. But I think that I'm gonna just take another forward. I'm tempted to take a D, but I'm gonna take Jordan Eberle. He's kind of right in there with Beniers in terms of point pace, even though he has fewer total. So yeah, Jordan Eberle, we're in World Junior Championship time, and he's a Canadian hero. So maybe he'll remember that and do well the rest of the season.
Yeah, there you go. Um, yeah, I don't love this. Yeah, I was hoping that maybe, a very boring pick like Eberle might find its way through the cracks here. Um, um, Sorry, let me see my list here. I don't like picking last. I am gonna go with you got. I can table talk a little bit more since I'm the last pick here. You've got Tatar, who's been on that first line, but a guy who's kind of maybe been a little more productive and kind of interesting. Although he's like famously one of the most boring centers of all time. I'm gonna grab Alex Wenberg. He's got 15 points on the year, which is not too shabby compared to what else is available to me. And I maybe believe in him holding on to his spot a little more than I believe in Tatar keeping his.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention who I was thinking of. So Riker Evans, who's a really highly touted prospect, he's got almost half a point per game when he's been playing, but he's been getting scratched, unfortunately. And for Justin Schultz, who's done decently here and there. So if Evans plays, though, I think if he gets consistently in the lineup, I think he could be a good rest of season stream. Will Borgen is also someone who's kind of right there, but none of us took D from Seattle. It's pretty much the Vince Dunn show, right? Unless you want peripherals, then they have some decent guys.
All right, we're on to the 10th round now. I get to go first again. I only have 8 forwards and 1 defenseman. So I'm really lagging behind on D here, but I can't help it. I got this is a really good, I got Michelli, Raquel, and I think I've got another banger for my top pick here. I'm going to Nashville. The obvious guys that aren't available: Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, Roman Josi. After that, everyone's up for grabs, including our big star from last night, 2 goals and an assist versus Detroit. He's on the top line. He's on the top power play, pacing now for 59 points on the year and just going higher. Gustav Nyquist. I think also I'm doing a decent job here of screwing over the other people that have to now take players from Nashville. So I'm excited to get him here. Hopefully he'll help make up for all the crappy picks I'm going to have later on when I'm going to have to fill in my D.
Oh God, you're telling me. I feel the same way because every team I keep looking saying, okay, I should take a D. And then I look at the options and I'm like, ugh, no, no, thank you. And Nashville is no different. Although they did have a couple of relevant D, but not so much lately. So yeah, this is tough. And Nyquist, yeah, he's someone who definitely has been showing out pretty nicely. But oh, man, this is so hard. But I believe in this guy, especially breaking out last year. And I just think he's hopefully going to get his mojo back, and that's Tommy Novak. He was really good last year, and he just got a couple of points recently. Although overall this season has been massively disappointing. So that is hopefully he can turn that around. I mean he shot way too high last year, and we knew he was going to come down a bit. But this is a pretty big regression. Although he's still at a 52 point pace. So if he could do roughly that rest of season, that wouldn't be terrible. So Tommy Novak.
All right. Another not so great spot to find myself. I think so I guess I could have asked this question sooner. If our player gets traded, do we still get credit for his points moving forward?
It's the team they're on now.
Okay. All right. Well, there is a guy that I'm kind of interested in, but the minutes are just so low, it kind of scares me off. And this person is not even playing today, but I'm going to go ahead and grab Tyson Barrie here. Not anything fancy. Didn't do the trick in some of the spots where he's been before. But likely trade bait. Maybe he finds himself in a slightly improved position if the team that trades for him wants to show that they made a good choice. So I'll grab Tyson Barrie here, and I think. Let's see. Yeah, I'm getting close on my defenseman. I got to maybe slow my roll a little bit, but I'm going to be able to pick a lot of forwards moving forward.
Look at this guy. Yeah, the minute Victor said, hope he gets his mojo back, you knew it was Novak. The minute that Lewis asked about a trade, you knew it was Barrie. This is a team I don't mind going forth because all the options stink anyway. And I'm going to take Ryan McDonough and rack up one more of my defensemen to save me pain later on in the draft. So Ryan McDonough.
Or
I would have
Luke
thought one of you-
Evangelista getting left behind.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would have thought one of these prospect guys here was gonna go Evangelista or maybe like a Tomasino, but I guess you guys really changed your minds on these players. I remember listening to Nashville podcasts on the Fantasy Hockey Life, and you guys were high on these people.
We are high on them, but they've they're not getting the time on ice. They're not getting the deployment. So long term, like, in the next 2-3 years, I would definitely take them. But it's just not happening right now. They're not getting the time. What are you gonna do?
All right, your pick, Victor. By the way, Victor, let's celebrate for a second. He and I are in a Dynasty League together. We talked about it before, and Gustav Nyquist, one of our big free agent ads from early in the year. And it's a Dynasty. You shouldn't be able to get guys like that. But woo, Jesse, you missed out. Should have grabbed Nyquist.
Gustav Nyquist is not welcome on my team. And I guess in a draft like this, it's not the worst thing because he is the ultimate empty points guy, right? He's a guy who maybe gets a couple points and just doesn't get much on peripherals, and if he falls off the line, then it's over. So he's not welcome on my team, but happy for you that he's doing well.
Elon has been, Elon, I joined the squad this season, and he's been super helpful with like these streaming guys. I don't know how many guys you've added, Elon, that we've basically kept for weeks, if not the whole season. It's been pretty nice. So you should definitely celebrate those accomplishments, because everyone knows I'm more of like a looking long term kind of thing, and sometimes I have blind spots to these guys that are doing really well. I think looking at our team, well, Paul came and went. Chinnikov, that was a really good one. Nyquist, of course, Jake McCabe and Marcus Pettersson, who've been killing it. All these guys are new to the team. Sometimes I look at the team and I'm like, oh, that's right, Elon added this guy.
Sharon Govich has been really good. I added him a while back. Nick Bjugstad, who didn't get taken in this draft, but he's had a decent season. Though I was close to dropping. I actually put in a drop for someone. Who was it that I wanted to get? Oh, Connor Geeky or Morgan Geeky dropping, but then someone outbid us because we have no fab left. Anyway, no one cares. But okay, let's get back to this. Well,
this time half the people on the show care, Elon. So
that's true. That helps.
Three quarters of the people.
Oh, that's true. You care in a different way though, Jesse.
I vaguely care. Yeah, I'm tanking hard in that thing.
All right, Victor. Let's start the 11th round.
Well, yeah, I think I'm gonna. Lewis, you have so many defensemen. It's kind of scaring me. I think I need to go D, and so I didn't necessarily want to do this, but I'm gonna go to Anaheim, and a guy is back who is kind of exciting. He's kind of struggled for the last couple of years. And no, I'm not going to take the guy who has been just awesome this season, but I'm going to take Jamie Drysdale, who is back. He's been injured off and on for a long time, but he's played 6 games. He's getting the power play time, and he's got 3 points, and I think deserves a little bit more. He's getting huge minutes. He's not someone he's kind of difficult to roster in peripheral leagues because he doesn't usually do too much, although this year he's hitting and blocking a little bit more and shooting. So maybe this is the new Jamie Drysdale, and this could be a good rest of season stream, and maybe Anaheim won't be totally terrible rest of season.
All right. Well, I think I am going to go ahead and it's a tough call here. There's a lot of guys who I think are kind of similar here. And I am going to grab, all right, I'm going to go against my instincts here. I'm going to go ahead and grab Alex Killorn with my pick. I've got the freedom to do a little bit more forward selecting here. So I'll grab Alex Killorn. There's other guys that I like very nearly as much, which makes me sad because I know that our later picks are going to get some good ones here. But yeah, that's the way I'm going to go, especially with the injury status of some of the other folks on this list.
I am dancing a jig over here because this was one of my priority teams, and I wanted Pavel Mintyukov the whole time. So I'm pretty excited about that. By the way, Zegras, Terry, McTavish, Vetrano, all off limits here. But Pavel Mintyukov has shown what he can do this year, and he is going to be my pick. And there he goes, yet another defenseman for me.
And you know what? Let's keep the party going with the defense. We'll take 3 defensemen off of Anaheim here. I got to grab one. There are some like somewhat appealing guys. Adam Henrique has been getting some points lately. Ryan Strome once in a while gets a point. Like Leo Karlsson would be good, but he's got that injury. So just give me Cam Fowler. Good old boring. He's going to get me a 35-ish point pace rest of the way. So I'll take it. And yeah, Lewis, you get a couple firsts coming up now.
Yeah, I'm psyched. Leo Karlsson, I think, would have been a great pick, but obviously 2 games a week just proving to be too much for the guy. So got to wrap him up in his bubble wrap there.
Yeah, and also he's out for like 4
No, that's what I mean is, they played him one too many games and he went and got injured, It's just...
Do you think that now it's like going to be when he comes back from his injury, they're like, no, we had a certain amount of time before he has a full schedule. So now that's going to be delayed. And actually when he comes back, he'll still be on like 2 games a week.
I just don't understand why this is happening for one player and it, never happens. It's a very odd situation. I find it strange, and I'm not going to think too hard about it. I'm very excited because I have 2 teams that I really like the available, like one available guy and not so much the others. And I'm psyched to make you guys sweat a little bit here. We're going to start in New Jersey. Off the board for New Jersey, a bunch of guys, as you would expect. Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, Tyler Toffoli, Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes, all 100% owned. Luke Hughes and Dougie Hamilton in there at 96. I'm going to grab the next guy off the list, someone who has had a bunch of hype about him, who's getting big minutes, who looks primed for a big second half. And I'm going to go ahead and take Dawson Mercer off the board here in New Jersey, one of my priority teams here. So I was glad that they fell to me.
Ouch. Yeah, that would be a good one to have the first pick for, I would say, that team. With Dawson Mercer off their board, geez, it gets more boring from here. You know what? Forget it. I'm going to take another defenseman. I'm going to take Simon Nemec, and I'm going to hope that we get a decent second half out of him, decent enough to justify making him yet another defenseman pick for me.
Okay, yeah. I like Mercer too. There's a lot of forwards that are like, I think could be decent. The question is just, do I like waste a chance to grab some boring defense? But no, I'm going to go with a forward here. So you've got Mercer and Meier on a line with a guy who like keeps on getting points, and I keep on looking at him, Victor. Like, I guess I'll spoil our spot here. I keep on looking at him as a potential ad for us, but I just can't think of anyone to drop. So I kept passing on him. But I guess this Michael McLeod, he's having a good year. He's like 14 points in 34 games. That's such a boring pick though. Maybe if I'm going with someone that crap, maybe I should just take a defenseman. Okay. Everyone stinks. Yeah, you're right. It's like at some point we thought that Palat was a good player, but I guess that time has long passed. I guess you're right. You know what? Also, I take back when I was joshing Victor later on, because I totally have not prepped as well as I was, making fun of you for. Okay, give me my former first round pick in a prospects draft of a dynasty league that I've regretted forever, and I'll have him again here, John Marino. Why not? Just take a D spot. I've got 3 now. Okay, Victor, over to you.
Yeah, I know. Getting salty with me about taking time. But yeah, I think we prepped mostly on who we wanted first, and then these second, third discussions are a little bit more difficult. I was hoping, Jesse, that you would let Simon Nemec fall, because he's come in and looked okay, although that was more recently. 13 games in now, he still only has the 5 points, but I think he could be decent rest of season. And Lewis, I wrote about Dawson Mercer at EP Ringside. I love this guy. He's so much fun, but I also think he might be too good for his own, too versatile for his own good, because they just kind of move him up and down the lineup, which is extremely frustrating. But you guys actually left on the board the guy who has the most points per game, although he's not always in the best spot. And I think a lot of these points came when he was out, when other people were out with injury. But Eric Halla seems to always get decent deployment. I mean, he's kind of on there on that second line. He's playing with decent players, even though it's maybe not the most exciting. He's usually getting some easier time. So yeah, we'll just go Eric Halla. Boring, but should be decently productive, over half point per game rest of the season.
Holla at you, guy. All right, we got a couple more picks to make in this first half of the show, but first let's take a short break. Back, and I believe, Lewis, you are on the clock.
All right, we're going to head to another team where I really like the top option and don't love the other option so much, but I do think there is some interesting meat that's going to be left on this bone for you all to chew over. But we're going to go over to Minnesota. Brock Faber, Matt Boldy, Matt Zuccarello, Kirill Kaprizov, Joel Eriksson Ek, all unavailable for selection. But that does leave the guy that I feel like I've been waiting for forever, and you guys, I'm sure, feel this even more than I do. But Marco Rossi finally making some things happen, getting some nice deployment, getting a real opportunity to make Minnesota, not quite look like that team with a whole lot of nothing down the middle. On my show, I have called them the Spirit Airlines team because they have some wings and not a whole lot else going on. So, yeah, I'm going to grab Marco Rossi here off the top of the heap in Minnesota.
Oh, my gosh. I love that. I love that one. And doggone it, it's a pretty good pick, too. That's the real problem here. Well, there's lots of things I could do here, but I guess I'll go with Ryan Hartman. I'll hope that he gets himself worked back into a better situation line-wise, but he's not the best, but he does sometimes fall into that, and we'll take that. Yeah, Lewis.
Just one of the darlings of the early season, Ryan Hartman there. So we've seen he's capable of blowing up a little bit, and he's been a lot better the last little bit here. So yeah, I like that pick a lot.
He can fall into it every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Rossi sometimes is taking Hartman's spot, right? So it's going to be the battle of both of your picks here. Who's going to get to play with Kaprizov for the most of the time in the second half? I'm pretty happy with my third pick here. Gotta grab a D. He's been injured for a while, but apparently he's going to be back soon. I'll just take Spurgeon, another like Cam Fowler. Like I don't think he's going to get 0. It's not as bad as John Marino, my last D. So look at that. I got 4D now, Lewis. I'm catching up to you. Just in, we'll be halfway through and we'll be the same and everything will be great. So I'll take Spurgeon and Victor. Yeah, you have a couple fun options to choose from.
Yeah, I was hoping Spurgeon would fall to me because, yeah, he's been out, but he will be back. And as the captain, I'm sure he's going to get some decent deployment, even though I'm a huge Brock Faber stan. He's incredible. And I think he should probably win the Calder with what he's doing, even though it's
Over
not all
Bedard?
the points. Absolutely. Look at what he's doing. Top pairing minutes against the best players in the league, and he's shutting them down every single night. That is incredible. I don't care about the points. It shouldn't be about the points. Look what he's doing compared to that's a harder position, what he's doing. And he's like literally the best players, the best forwards in the world can't score when he's out there.
I don't disagree. Like I do feel it's a bit of a contrarian take. Like I think he's like great. Like I don't have anything bad to say about Brock Faber, but how can you like Connor Bedard is playing with nobody at all, and he is on a 75 point pace and rising. Like he's an 18-year-old carrying a team. Like come on, you gotta get. If you actually had a vote and you voted for Faber over Bedard, I'd be like big eye rolls. Like you're just being like a hipster. Want to say something for clicks. But I don't know if I don't mean that as in a mean way, but that came off a lot more mean than I meant it to. I don't know. I just feel like it's got to be Bedard.
I think it depends too. If Minnesota makes the playoffs, to me,
right.
I think that sinks it. But if you're talking about two non-playoff teams, then I think it matters less. But if Faber wills his team into the playoffs with his play, that makes a huge difference because scoring when you don't have to worry about defense and winning, yes, it's impressive what Bedard is doing, but to bring a team like Minnesota that is out of the playoffs all the way in, I think that is more valuable to the team and overall. I'm not trying to say it just as contrarian. I think Bedard is amazing, and I think what he's doing is incredible. But I think if you look at the finer points of the game, what Faber is doing is just, if not more, incredible.
Fair. Who am I, anyways?
And if there's one thing we know about, the folks who vote on the Calder, it's that they're always looking at the finer points of the game.
If a power play quarterback just succeeds in the woods and nobody's listening, does he make a sound? That's really the question here, folks.
All right, so Victor,
whereas Connor Bedard's going to be on national TV twice a week. All right, yeah, Victor, come on.
We got distracted by my comments, and yes, we can all agree that we love Marco Rossi. I love that pick, Lewis. I'm happy to see him finally thriving, but I will finally pick, and torn between a math forward and a couple of D options. I think I'm just going to fill out one of my D and just go Jake Middleton because plays a lot and might get some points. Better in perfs, but we'll take him here.
Do you wish the Sharks held on to Jake Middleton?
No, they should have gotten whatever they could have gotten for him. That was smart.
All right, so you get a first now, Victor.
Well, since we wasted so much breath talking about this team already, I think we're going to go to Chicago because, yes, Connor Bedard is amazing, not trying to take anything away from him. And he's so amazing that he is literally willing basically a bunch of nobodies into relevance. I mean, we thought at the beginning of the season it was going to be, Taylor Hall, Corey Perry that may play with him, but he's turning Philip Kurashev into a bit of a thing. And he is, I know, Elon, we've talked about him, adding him in our dynasty, and I frankly was just never a believer. And I still don't know that I am, but Bedard is so good that he's turning anyone into relevant, and he's been doing great. I mean, Kurashev already has set 6 goals, 15 assists in 28 games for a 62-point pace, which is more than double what he's ever had before. Yeah, that's the Connor Bedard effect as an 18-year-old. So I'll go with him.
Yeah, we were gonna add him. Then I think we did, and then like you convinced me that we could just drop him, and now he's not gonna be available to us anymore. I guess the thing is, Victor, you're such like a prospects expert. You know so much about the players themselves. I feel like you're like I know Kurashev. He's not good. Like, trust me. But it's like, yeah, I guess playing with Bedard, who's not even a Calder winner, but he's good enough to make Kurashev into a 60-point player. But okay, so Lewis, over to you on Chicago.
All right. Well, there's the other guy who's on the line with Bedard, but I'm actually going to go a little deeper here. I don't know if this is a great decision, but I'm just going to go off the cuff here. I'm going to grab Jason Dickinson, who has been doing some interesting things from further down the lineup. I always am seeing him pop up on the score alerts. Chicago's a bit of a blind spot for me this season outside of, kind of the top. I haven't been paying a whole bunch of attention to them in fantasy, but that's a name that stood out to me. So go ahead and grab him there.
Why not? Couple of Midland type options here. Not so great. Let's take the crusty old veteran here. He's on one of my dynasty teams and doing precious little, except every once in a while he shows up out of nowhere and scores 2 goals. That's something that's happened twice the second half of this month, and that would be Nick Foligno. Why not? Nick Foligno, get up there and play with the young man, Connor Bedard, who I thought for just a second, I thought Victor was going to try to draft Bedard. Just sneak that one by us.
For what it's worth, Foligno's been interesting. You say he comes out and scores a couple goals here. He's scored points in 10 total games, and in 5 of them, it's been multi-point efforts. So he's got a lot of nothing and then a lot of these multi-point games in there.
It all evens out in a best ball like this. It all works.
Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this pick. I'm surprised in my draft with these prospect experts. I'll take this current top power play quarterback with Seth Jones injured. He hasn't done too much yet, but he did have a power play assist in the last game. So maybe it's the start of a big second half for Kevin Korchinski. So give me the chintz. I don't know what his nickname is, but I'm okay with Korchinski here. And that brings me now to a first pick. All of like the ones I really liked are kind of gone now. So I think I'm going to go with a guy who I think I already name dropped on this podcast just recently. So give me Morgan Geekie over on Boston. He's on a nice run right now. Obviously, this is like super dependent on if he's going to hold his spot. But right now, Geekie is playing on a line with David Pasternak, which I like. And he's also on the top power play with Pasternak and Marchand and Zacha. So like on Boston, by the way, we should mention, I don't think, did we mention Chicago? For Chicago, by the way, if you're surprised, yeah, we weren't, it was only Seth Jones and Bedard that weren't available. On Boston, McAvoy, Marchand, Pasternak, and Zaka are all unavailable, and everyone else is. I'm leaving some interesting names out there, but I want to plant my flag. I missed out on Geeky in our dynasty, Victor. He's also been taken in like a couple division. So I have a hunch about Morgan Geeky, so I need to get him somewhere so I could, brag about it if he turns out to be good. So over to you.
Yeah, I know we had that discussion, and I'm not a believer, but he has been doing well, and they're they're really in need of center help down the middle there. Yeah, this is difficult because there's a guy I actually messaged about in our chat that I kind of wanted, but it's also it's also kind of difficult to pass up on the guy who's doing it now and getting good deployment. And I would love to take a defenseman, but I don't think they have anyone too interesting. Oh man. I think I'm just gonna go Charlie Coyle. He's kind of boring, but he's getting top line deployment. He's getting sometimes power play deployment, but at least even strength and getting exposure to some decent players. So yeah, we'll just go with Coyle.
Yeah, I was in kind of a 6-1, half dozen the other. I figured whoever you picked, I'll grab the other guy. So I'll go ahead and grab Jake DeBrusk and hope that he can regain some of his form from last season. He was one of my heroes of the year last year. But yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and grab JDB.
From JDB to JVR, I'll close it out with a guy who's still rostered and still sneaks up on that power play and still does something from time to time. But it's not the worst last pick in the world.
So the guy that I thought might be interesting that I didn't see on the sheet, Elon, is Matthew Poitras. And he's over at the World Juniors right now for Canada, basically their top line center. And he's the guy who made the team out of camp and, has been playing in the top six and doing pretty darn well, frankly. And I think that there's a good chance, just, no one picked him in this pool, but I think there's a good chance he comes back from the World Juniors energized, regardless of how Canada does, and has a really strong rest of season because, that's going to build his confidence. He's gonna dominate. He's already dominating there. So, you might want to put him on your watch list. And if you can add him right now when he's away, that would be a smart move because I think he'll come back and do really well.
Yeah, he wasn't on the percent rostered list that I shared because he's like not rostered in any divisions, so he just like didn't fall off there. But he was eligible to be taken for sure. Jesse,
Yeah.
so you're gonna close out now this episode, and we're gonna do the second half on keeping Karlsson.
Closing out the first half. Uh, I'm going to take the guy who has fallen into I believe, the top power play spot, even though, you know what? No. I'm changing my
Swerve.
mind. I'm changing my mind. It's a swerve. It's an audible. I am going to go to the Vancouver Canucks. And on the Vancouver Canucks, there are more than one good choice. And if I knew I was going to get the second choice, well, that would be fine. But I could end up with the fourth choice, and I don't like the fourth choice. So I'm going to go ahead and take on the first line and first power play currently, Andrei Kuzmenko.
Yeah, currently is the word there because there have been times where he's been like scratched or like bumped to the fourth line. But yeah, Kuzmenko probably has the highest upside. But yeah, so you're forgiven. Your Chandler Stevenson pick was rough, but this Vancouver pick is pretty nice because I agree with you. I think that there's going to be like one more somewhat reasonable guy to take. So I'll just mention quickly the guys who are not available on the Canucks are who do we have here? So Hronik, in no particular order, Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, JT Miller. Then everyone else is up for grabs. And yeah, like this guy Dakota Joshua has been doing stuff. I wonder if he'll get taken. But give me the guy playing with Pettersson and Kuzmenko and Ilya Mikheyev. He seems like the best bet to get straight up points now and then. So yeah, I'll stick with Mikheyev here. And then Victor, you get to go on Vancouver. Your last pick of the first half.
Yeah, I don't mind this too much. I do think those are the two best picks and good forward options. I would be a little hesitant to take Kuzmenko first, although I probably would have done it because we know he can do really well when he gets the opportunity. So I like that, but I definitely need D. And even though he doesn't score a lot, Tyler Myers plays a lot and can luck into some secondary assists. So he's scoring roughly as much as some of the other forwards anyway. So I'll take Tyler Myers and knock out another one of my D.
All right. Well, that leaves me with a few kind of unappealing options. You've got Connor Garland, who's getting some power play time, but I'm going to go ahead and pick up that torch that Elon put down. I'm going to grab Dakota Joshua, uh, just to see if he can keep things going from where he's at. I think we pretty much know what Connor Garland is at this point. So let's see if there's some untapped upside in a Dakota Joshua fourth pick here.
I think the guy that's being left off that might have been someone we'll regret at some point could be Nils Hoglander. Like he's playing with Besser and Miller recently. Not doing too much. He had a couple good games. A couple weeks ago, he was looking like something and then kind of fell off again. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that that clears out the Canucks. And I guess let me. What am I doing? I'm gonna be the host in a sec. You guys are gonna close out this show.
that does clear out the first half, and on this feed, we'll be right back in a minute to close it out. And when you next hear our voices, you better be hearing them over on the wonderful Keeping Karlsson feed. So we'll be back right after this.
All right. So now
you're in the chair, sir. Yeah, just go with it.
All right. Yes! Welcome everybody to another episode of the Keeping Karlsson Fantasy Hockey Podcast, the longest running fantasy hockey podcast in the world, hosted by a guy who's hanging out with three friends, picking some players and having a great time doing it. Clearly, you could tell I didn't come up with my joke until just as I was talking right now. I'm your host, Elon Dubrovsky. This is the second half of a crossover episode with the Fantasy Hockey Life podcast. If you haven't listened to part one, what are you doing? Press pause here and go download part one from the Fantasy Hockey Live feed. But right now, I am here with three friends for the second half of a fun draft that we've been having. I'll introduce who's with me. First of all, you know him from this podcast feed, Short Shifts host, great friend of the show. It's Lewis Ezekiel. Lewis, how's it going?
Going great. It's winter break, so I've got my three boys, and then they have three friends, and they're all charging around the house. You might hear them in the background. We are party central here. As the teacher who is off, all the other parents are relying on me, but I'm trying to carve out some time here to draft some players with you all and having a great time with it.
Nice. Yeah. So extra impressive that you're able to be putting this show out, even though you've got all this craziness going on in your house. I've got a baby napping right now. So hopefully that will just continue to be the case. Hopefully my yelling a second ago didn't wake her up. So of course, like I said, with me are the two gentlemen from the Fantasy Hockey Life podcast. First of all, it is my co-manager in a new Dynasty League I've joined, and also a prospects expert, a writer now for Elite Prospects. He does it all. Victor Nuno. Welcome to the show, Victor.
Thanks, Elon. It's so good to be back on. And yeah, it's been super fun having you as my co-GM. We have very complementary skill sets, I think. And so it's been really great to have you find all these gems in free agency and being able to bounce ideas. I love when the messages come in from Elon, because it's like a bunch of text. I'm like, what do you think about these guys? And like all these options, and this guy's doing this. And I'm like, oh, cool. This is nice. I can just kind of like, run through the options here. It's been a pleasure, and it's nice to be back on.
I appreciate when you respond to those messages promptly. I'm like, okay, I'm worried sometimes that I'm like sending too much and I'm annoying you. I feel like Maddie, my co-manager in another Dynasty League, I feel like he's probably having a busy holiday and he maybe doesn't need all of my messages. Like, should we drop this guy, add this guy? I just added Cole Gutman without even asking him because I didn't want to bother him. He's with his family having a nice time. But okay. And of course, also with me, one of the best voices in podcasting, former tier 1 competitor in the couple, Jesse Severe. How's it going?
Hey, good, Elon. I'm happy to be back for my annual drubbing on this here draft. But we have a lot of fun here. But thank you.
All right. So to recap, obviously people should hopefully have listened to part one. We've been going one pick per team. We've done 16 teams. We've got 16 still to go, though it's points only. Only forwards and defensemen, straight up, 1 point for a goal, 1 point for an assist. And the catch is that the only players available to be taken have to be less than 95% rostered in the cupful. We have that data from the great Kevin Hebert, who's keeping track of that. So the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patriot Fantasy League, 40 plus divisions. These are smart managers who know what they're doing. So we're not going to let you take the easy guys that are taken, all across all of our leagues. And yeah, we're done 16 rounds. We got 16 to go. We also have a rule where each of us need to take at least 8 defensemen. At this point, three of us have 5 defensemen, and Victor has 4. So on track, right? You're halfway through, Victor. You've got your 4. But the other 3 of us have a little more leeway to take some forwards in the second half. But let's do it. I guess I won't recap the teams. You can go at the end of the show. We can recap everyone's team. But Jesse's got the first pick to start off round 17. So over to you, Jesse.
Boy, yeah, it's getting to be complex. Some of the best teams have already come off the board. I think, and there's a lot of teams where there's players that I really covet at this point. But of course, the strategy here is which team do you have to take because you think there's going to be a significant drop off between the top and the middle. And I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to go to the Ottawa Senators. Now, the Ottawa Senators have some guys who cannot be selected because they're over 95% rostered. Those players are, let's see, Thomas Chabot, Vladimir Tarashenko, Jake Sanderson, Josh Norris, Jacob Chikrin, Claude Giroux, Drake Batherson, Tim Stutzla, and Brady Tkachuk. But I'm going to grab Matthew Joseph. I'm going to hope that he's back somewhat soon because he's been on a great run when he's been out there getting a little bit of power play time. And frankly, the alternatives on this team, not so good. So give me Matthew Joseph.
Wow. Okay. I'm just thinking now, like, who is left on the Senators? What's the deal with Shane Pinto? He's not signed yet. He was suspended for like half the season. That would be a pretty ballsy pick, which I'm not a ballsy person. So I'm not going to make that pick, but I'm throwing it out there for someone else if they want to.
I think it's half a season, right? It was half a season he was out for.
Yeah, but he's also not signed.
That was how long the suspension? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So who knows when he'll come back.
But I think that's why they didn't sign him. I think they knew that was coming. So I think that's why.
All right. So I'll let you take him and maybe you'll have a higher upside here. Man, so the top 6 is gone. Giroux, Tkachuk, Norris, Tarasenko, Batherson, Stutzla. So we're down here in the dregs. I guess give me Kubalik. He stinks, but he's a guy. He's on the ice sometimes. Sometimes he even plays on a power play. So that's something. I'll take Kubalik. That's Jesse, I was like thanking you for going Vancouver and with Kuzmenko. You left me with Mikhail. It was nice. I got a top liner. Yeah, this one, but this is again like just mutually assured destruction. Like what? You had to do this just to get Matthew Joseph? Come on, give me a good second pick here.
And I'm sorry to start this episode with Matthew Joseph, folks. Believe me, it's going to get better.
Okay, over to Victor.
And you're right, Elon. Dominic Kubalik is a guy. That is a factual statement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Yeah, this is a difficult team. I definitely wanted Joseph, even though he's kind of breaking out, and I kind of don't fully believe what he's doing, but he's continues to do it, and he's getting decent deployment. And he does have some talent. He is Pierre-Olivier Joseph's brother, by the way, if anyone's wondering, who plays for Pittsburgh. And yeah, I'm just gonna knock out another D and take Artem Zub because why not? Because he has about as much chance as anyone else bottom of this lineup to get points. He does. Zub is someone who plays a lot, so that's good, and he does have decent perfs. And if time on ice is a concern, I do play in one league with time on ice, so 21 minutes is nice. That's a good peripheral candidate. We're only concerned with points, and I'm really curious where you're going to go, Lewis, because I did not want to go last on this team.
Yeah, I would have taken Zub as well. I think that's a fine pick, especially as you said, with the minutes that he's getting compared to the others. I'm going to burn one of my D picks here because I don't think the D is any worse than any of the other forwards. I'll go ahead and grab Eric Brandstrom. Exceedingly boring, but his 8 points are pretty much the same as what everybody else has to offer down at this crummy section of the lineup. So, yeah, Eric Brandstrom, welcome to the team.
Are you muted, Elon? Because I can't hear you.
Shoot.
There you go.
All right, it's my turn to start a round. I'm going to go to the New York Islanders. This is the newfound Islanders that actually score goals sometimes, which makes their players a little more exciting. Of course, I would love to get a Barzal or a Horvat. They're not available. Nelson, obviously not available. No Dobson. No Anders Lee. He's 98% rostered in Cupful. But everyone else is available, and there's a guy that jumps out to me. He's on the top power play. Yeah, he's been up and down this season, but Kyle Palmieri has been solid. He's on that second line with Brock Nelson. He's on that top power play with Nelson, Horvat, and Barzal and Dobson. And also, I think the rest of the picks, there's a big dip, even though You wouldn't think that based on their last game, where a bunch of guys available had big games, but unfortunately that game won't count for the rest of you. So give me Palmieri and then over to Victor.
Yeah, this is definitely a team where I wanted to go early. Although I think they have some pretty relatively even options. I definitely would have gone Palmieri first, but I like the sort of resurgence that we're seeing. Mike Riley is a guy who has always had pretty decent production. I think there may be some concerns with some of the other aspects of his game, and he hasn't always played, but he's been decent, and so I'm hoping he continues to play because he's on a 34-point pace, and that's about what the other guys are doing. And even though one of the other forwards that I won't spoil, but I'm sure everyone knows, just had a big game last game. But I don't know that that's going to continue rest of the season. So give me Mike Riley. What the heck?
I also don't see JG Pageau continuing to get 2 goals, 2 assists every game. After all, you can't always play an ice cold, not Charlie Lindgren, Darcy Kemper coming off the bench for an injured Charlie Lindgren. But I am going to go ahead and grab him just because he is the kind of guy who can really make something happen. He's had a much better kind of second quarter of the season here than he did his first. So hopefully he can keep that going.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, this is a fairly rough team to try to be picking from. Uh, especially because I know who did you just take, Lewis? Let's see
Pageau.
what's on here. Oh, you just took Pageau. Well, that's even worse. That's who I was going to take, and that's just as well because our mutual friend and patron Simon is always trying to shove Pageau down my throat in trades. So I just on principle, I can't take him. I guess, although this is starting to get to be a bit much for me to try to keep grabbing. Oh no, you know what? No, I am going to take, what's his bucket here? I am going to take Pierre Engvall, who's playing a little bit of power play time. He sneaks up onto decent lines from time to time, and he is not heavily rostered. So Pierre Engvall for me.
Killer. Okay, Victor starts the next round.
Here, Engvall, the giraffe on skates. He has been decent though. All right. Well, I'm going to maybe spoil something for Lewis. We're going to go to his hometown team. We're going to Detroit, and we cannot be picking Patrick Kane, which a lot of people were wrong about how good he's been doing. Dang, if you stashed him and grabbed him, you're pretty happy. But Patty Kane, Shane Gostisbehere, who I drafted and dropped in the cupful stupidly when he was cold. Lucas Raymond, Mort Sider, Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat, Jake Wallman, all cannot be taken. So I'm going to take, honestly, I didn't really see this coming, but JT Compher has been pretty darn good this season. And more importantly, he is playing a lot of basically between DeBrincat and Kane right now. And that's a pretty sweet spot to be in. He's not always getting top power play, but he sometimes gets some reps in there. So I'm happy to take Compher, and hopefully he can continue his great what he's been doing this season, which has pretty much been a career season. He's currently on a 58-point pace. He had a 52-point pace in Colorado last season, but before that he was 40 or below point pace guy. So maybe this is a late sort of breakout. He's 28 years old. I don't think so, but yeah, he's been decent.
All right. Well, the guy I really would have loved to take here would have been Jake Wallman, but like you said, he's a few points above where I'm able to go. And everybody who's kind of left over, I feel like, is kind of little mini clones of each other. I think any one of them could be just as good as the next. But having watched quite a few of these games, a guy that kind of stands out to me is Michael Rasmussen. So he's the guy I'm going to grab. Not the greatest deployment, but he's been pretty productive. He's been an important piece, I think, for the Red Wings. And again, when I feel like I'm looking at just kind of a pile that is all sort of very similar. That's a guy that I want to grab. We're hopefully starting to see his minutes tick up a little bit. And he could be a guy who could have a decent second half there.
Well, woof. Yeah, this is starting to get a little bit rough here. looking at the deployment right now, I guess I'm going to go with Andrew Kopp. They're at least paying him, right? Well, no, never mind. I'm not going to talk about other guys, even though there's only one person to pick. I'm going to take Andrew Kopp and hope that he is able to. He's gotten a little bit of power play time back since he came back off injury, and perhaps he can knock in the occasional point and stay relevant.
Yeah, I guess that's a fine pick. I don't know. Like, also, I think there's more than just one person left. Like, Daniel Sprong somehow is on a 50-point pace so far, even though he doesn't get the best deployment. He's got 3 points in his last 4 games. I'm tempted to take him, but I'm gonna take a guy who's like the opposite, super ice cold, but also still gets decent deployment and has a history of being good. So I'm gonna hope for a little bit of a bounce back in the second half for David Perron. Seems like a worth a fourth pick. Definitely not someone like Victor and I just dropped him from our dynasty to add. Who did we add? Someone exciting and cool. Oh, it might have been Marcus Pettersson, actually. Not the most exciting and cool, but this league is really hard to find defensemen. Kind of like this draft. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'll go Perron, and now Lewis, you get a couple firsts coming up.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to this because I think I can really stick you with some crummy options here. I'm going to pick from two pretty crappy teams here and leave you all to sort through what is left over. We're going to start in Washington. A team that has just been so offensively anemic lately. It's really driving all of the Ovechkin people, myself included, crazy. But there is one guy who has been hot lately on this team, and that's Anthony Mantha, former Detroit Red Wing, and kind of traded for a guy who seems very similar, obviously, in Jakub Vrana, who kind of gets the same treatment to the coach. Has talent, but the coaches can't seem to tolerate him. But we're gonna go ahead and grab Anthony Mantha here. He's had a nice little run. He was lined up with Dylan Strome and Alexei Protas, which isn't that exciting, but a nice spot for him. And like I said, on a bit of a hot streak with 5 points in the last 5 games. Not a lot of Washington Capitals who can say they've got anything approaching that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is double the pain because I get to look at my team and how much they stink at this level of the rostership. Plus I have to take one of these guys' selection on my team. A couple of these guys who should be heavily discussed, I just can't go to. I'm going to go to Rasmus Sandin and hope that he has a good second half of the season and continue to round out my defensive core.
Sorry, one sec. I think I have something. Something
If I can
wrong in the spreadsheet.
vamp for a minute here. I just saw on Twitter that Joe Veleno is going to be back. He could have been another interesting one of those Detroit players, but again, I really feel like Rasmussen, Sprong, Kopp, Perron, Veleno, you're just picking clones of the same guy here, more or less, in terms of the chances that they're going to be the one who outscores the others.
Sorry, I'll do a edit point here. I'm just trying to find. I don't know why I can't find Sandine. Something is wrong, but what are you gonna do? Okay, so we'll just leave it blank. We'll remember later that it was Sandine. Well, I'll add a note. Insert note. Sandine. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Well, so on the Caps, it's like kind of like my last pick with Perron. I just feel like I'll just take a guy who's like a big name that you never know. Maybe he could bounce back. It's been a really terrible season, but give me Kuznetsov. Maybe he gets back playing with Ovi. Not that that's what it used to be, but I'll take Kuznetsov with the third pick here on the Capitals. And yeah, over to Victor.
Yeah, this is difficult. I like the Sandine pick. I think that he's a good player. Maybe he gets some time from Karlsson. We'll see. But yeah, although the guy who's currently playing with Ovechkin, at least at times, and according to the most recent tweet at Game Day Tweets, which I'm a big fan, Elon, of your website and tweet deck there, is Connor McMichael. And maybe that's a little bit more true to my prospect roots, but I do like McMichael. He hasn't always gotten the best deployment. He's kind of been more of like a middle six kind of guy, but he is certainly good enough to play up there. And so if he's getting time with Ovechkin, maybe they click and run run well rest of season. So I'm still hopeful that McMichael can be a pretty high-end producer. He's currently on a 34-point pace. I think that he has upside for much more than that. I don't know when it's going to happen, but this might be a good step in that direction.
All right. And so we're going to stick with some teams who are playing poorly. Can't say this team was underperforming because no one really had any expectations for them, but we're going to go to San Jose. And I'm going to pull from, or I should go through our many players who are unavailable. Tomas Hertl, Logan Couture, Mikhail Granlund are our unavailable players at the time. I'm going to go ahead and grab William Eklund from the top of the heap there, getting the top deployment. Not doing a ton with it. As no one really is. But he's around that half point a game level right now, and I think has the capacity for more. He had 6 shots in his most recent game. So I like to see that, and hopefully, he's in a little mini cold streak right now. Nothing in the last 3 games, but of all the folks available here, that's a guy who I think could actually turn it around a little bit and maybe make something of this season.
Boy, yeah, it's a bit of a desert here. There's a couple of not horrible options, but I think on this team I will go with Alexander Barabanov and leave some of the other guys who I imagine Elon and Victor will not hate what's left here strategically. But I'll take Barabanov and hope that he is able to run into a couple of points here in the second half.
All right. I apologize. I'm just going to add a point here. Sorry, I was fixing the spreadsheet. So who did Lewis take?
Eklund.
Eklund. Well, he's also now not showing up. Oh my God. I messed it up. Now I'm ruining the show. Okay, 1 sec. I'm just gonna really quickly do something, and then Eklund will show up,
Yeah.
and then we won't have any more issues.
Yeah, Sandin was on. Oh, you got him in there. Yeah,
I got him
he
in
was
there
on
now.
that. He was on the roster percentage thing.
Yeah, I think I have like too many players when a team has too many players and they don't like all show up there, which is dumb. Okay, so Lewis took Eklund. Still not there. Oh my God. Sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna put like a Studnicka there for now, and then we'll like remember that it was Eklund and change it when I have time. Okay, I'll fix this for next year when we do this. Okay, all right. So San Jose. Okay, back on the show here. All right, so Eklund and Barabanov off the board. I think it's a pretty easy pick for me. He's been solid at times. Give me Zetterlund. He's been getting good deployment. I'm happy with Zetterlund here. Did we mention, by the way, which Sharks were not available? It's not a long list. Yeah. Oh, you did. Okay. Yeah. Couture's gonna be back soon, apparently. But yeah, unfortunately, 98%. He's obviously just rostered so high because he's been stashed in IRs for free. All right, so I'll take Zetterlund, and yeah, over to Victor.
This is gross. This is gross for many reasons. Yeah, not a lot of good options here. They're actually kind of similar. I love the Eklund pick. I think that that he could be decent rest of the season. Oh boy. Yeah, there's a couple of meh forwards, but I think the defenseman is just about as meh. And maybe Kalen Addison will get traded. Maybe they can show him enough. Maybe someone will take them off their hands, and I doubt it, but he's actually Ferraro has been getting more power play time. Maybe that's because they're trying to show Ferraro, and maybe they trade him, and maybe Addison gets back on the top power play. He's really a points only kind of play anyways. So yeah, a lot of ifs, ands, maybes because I don't like this pick, but I don't think there are a lot of better options anyways. I mean, I could have gone Zadina, who's getting good deployment, and so is Barabanov. They've been getting good deployment, but not doing anything with it. And part of that is because the Sharks stink, and part of that is because I just don't know that they're that good. Oh,
And with
is it
that,
my turn?
Victor, you get. All right. Well, Victor, yeah, you may not be happy with your Addison pick, but now you get a first. So hopefully you'll be happy with who you take now.
Yeah, I think there's some good options here. Hmm. I do. I, let's go over to Los Angeles. I think that I think that there's a clear top player here, and there's some decent other options too. But give me Phil to know. I mean, they have basically like three equivalent lines that get a ton of ice time, and he has good players that he's playing with. 0.63 game points per game. That's pretty decent and well above the rest of the guys there. So why the heck not? Phil to know.
Sorry, I've got a lot of background noise. Give me like 2 seconds here for these kids to.
I don't hear it for what it's worth.
Yeah, we don't hear it.
Good, good, good. Okay. All right. So over in LA, yeah, definitely some interesting options lying around. Uh, I think this is one. All right, I'm gonna go with a name, and obviously not somebody who has lived up to anyone's expectations, the Kings or ours. But I'll take Pierre-Luc Dubois. See if he can't turn it around a little bit. I'm sure that's got to be painful with Gabe Vilardi doing what he's doing in Winnipeg, obviously. But yeah, a couple options that I kind of like here, but I'll take PLD from the top of that pile.
Yeah, funny enough, I don't know that there are a lot of options that I like on this one. We did say, right, Byfield, Doughty, Talbot, Fiala, Kopitar, Moore, Kempe, all off the books. So that's a bad situation.
Jesse, you can take Talbot if you want. I'll allow it.
You're gonna let me take Talbot? Oh, what a
Yeah.
guy! Yeah. So I
Counts
only
for
get the
nothing.
assists, right? I get the assists if he takes them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and steer away from that one. I will go ahead and take Mikey Anderson. Let's see if we can get a couple of defenseman points, and I'm closing out my defenseman roles at this point.
That leaves me with an interesting choice here because like I could take a defenseman also in Matt Roy, who's something. I guess Jordan Spence also actually gets some second power play time, but he could also get scratched. So Matt Roy would be a safety here. Or I can go with Dubois' line mates, Laferriere and Kaliev have had little spurts here and there. Kaliev had a run where I was like, I added him and I was like excited about him. He was doing well, but then he's like totally disappeared. But he's still like a pretty good young player. Um, I guess there's also Victor Arvidsson. Have we heard anything about him? When is he coming back? Is he even going to play this year? So I guess I
Yeah,
won't
I
take.
looked at him because I was
Yeah,
considering
so did I.
that too.
He is really rostered in Couple, but that's probably just because of the IR. But
Yeah,
he's
might
like
as well.
91%, but it says month to month on RotoWire. That's the last thing. But that's from October. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm worried. I have him in the Dynasty League, the not the one I'm in with Victor, but the other one that I'm in, and it's like, I'm having to make my roster decisions and my cap decisions based on like, I don't know if he's coming. If I knew he wasn't coming back, then I would know I have that cap space available to do something else with. But I don't want to get screwed like last year. I remember in the playoffs, all of a sudden Chris Drieger came back and that I wasn't expecting, and all of a sudden I had to move him out of IR, and it was a whole thing. So I would love to just get some clarity. If Arvidsson's not going to play, that's fine. Just please let me know. Anyway, in the meantime, maybe Matt Roy. I'm not gonna D. Maybe Kaliev is the better choice, but whatever. Now I get a first, so now I get to have some fun here. So let's go now. I'm gonna go to the Sabres. I think there's like two good picks here. So this is just gonna be more of a hunch pick for me. And give me a recently returning Jack Quinn, who's looked really good in his limited time. So Quinn's gone right up to play on a line with Paterka and Cousins, and Quinn's also getting some power play time. He's scored a couple goals. In the last game, he didn't score a goal, but he had 4 shots. So I'm hoping that Quinn will keep this up. He was drafted 8th overall just a couple years ago. I guess 3 years ago now. Oh, time goes by. Actually, it's 2024 soon. It's gonna be like technically 4 years ago. But yeah, wow, time. Okay, so Jack Quinn. I think I've given kind of a gift to Victor, and then I'm curious to see where Lewis and Jesse will go. Or actually, no, I've given a gift to a lot of people because of defense. Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, I still like Jack Quinn. I'm happy with it.
No, I think you definitely gave me a gift. I would not have taken Quinn first. I would have taken my boy, JJ Paterka first. Although I don't think that Quinn was a bad pick. He's just coming back and getting decent deployment. So I think he could be good. And I wrote about Paterka too at EP Ringside. I love this guy. He's so good all around, such a fun player to watch. His motor is insane. He never stops. He never gives up on a play, but he also scores a decent amount. He's not just like a defensive player or whatever. So yeah, I definitely am happy with him. Even though you're right, I could finish out. I went from having like the lowest number of defensemen to the most, just in the last couple of rounds. So I only need one more. So I'm okay waiting on that one, even though I think there's a good one out there. Go ahead,
Well,
Lewis.
there certainly is, and that's who I'm going to grab here. A good old Michigan man in Owen Power. Add my seventh defender here. I love this pick, Elon, because I had Buffalo as one of the teams that I had singled out that I would be okay picking fourth from. So I'm into it. Thank you for the selection, and I will add Owen Power to my team here.
No one man should have Owen Power. I've said it before. Let's take Victor's buddy from the draft, the guy who was drafted last year. Very polished game, according to our man Joel out there in Western Canada. Zach Benson, hoping that he's going to rise up the ranks. Maybe there'll be something that happens here in the second half that gives him some more opportunities. So Zach Benson from Buffalo, please.
So chalky that went just the way that I thought it would go, and was one of the reasons why I liked this as a team to let someone else select.
See, and that's the thing is people are like, oh, geez, they're talking about, they're over here talking about Ottawa or whatever. The truth is that some of these teams that we haven't covered yet, we haven't covered because there's a lot of good options. And so what's the use strategically in being the first mover? Mm-hmm. And we're kind of getting to a little bit of that point here. I've got the next two first picks in a row. And
actually, Jesse, can I just...
Oh, yeah.
Actually, Jesse, can I just interrupt you for a sec? I should mention I never said on Buffalo. The reason why also I started with Jack Quinn, Cousins, Thompson, Tuck, Skinner, and Dahlin and Middlestat were all not available. So if anyone's yelling, like, why did you take Middlestat? That's why. And I think, yeah, you guys are all saying now how like it was all the same. I think by the end of this, I have a good hunch about Jack Quinn. So we'll see. This will be a fun one to check back in on. But okay, Jesse, you got your two firsts now coming up.
Two firsts. In the first one, we're going to go to the Columbus Blue Jackets, where Patrick Laine, Johnny Gaudreau, Kirill Marchenko, Boone Jenner, and Zach Werenski are all unavailable. And the rest of the team is kind of stinky. But I like Adam Fantilli. He's kind of on a run. I think he's going to heat up in the second half and show us why he was such a beloved prospect. So Adam Fantilli for me.
Yeah, I think this is a team where I wouldn't have minded going second or third or fourth even. But I'll take my pick here, and I guess it's hard to ignore what Chinnikov has been doing. Chinnikov on this line with the other two Russians, Marchenko, who's not available, and Voronkov. We'll see if he gets taken. But yeah, Victor was talking about the last show, one of the free agents I added in our joint team together. That's looking like a hold, at least for now. So yeah, I'll take Chinnikov there, and yeah, then we go over to Victor.
Yeah, this has been a really fun story this season in Columbus, and actually you kind of mentioned him, Elon, already. And when you mentioned Dmitry Voronkov, I kind of looked into him and I was like, I don't know, this guy doesn't seem like he's gonna be able to do that much, and kind of poo-pooed him a little bit. But I have been impressed with what he's done, and he actually almost left. He was like, I'm gonna go back to Russia. I think he was having a hard time being away from home, but I think it's been super fun now that they put the three Russians together with Marchenko, who I'm a big fan of, and Chinnikov, who actually I believe is Belarusian. But anyways, maybe he is Russian. Anyways, the three of them have been playing really well together, and I'm gonna go with Voronkov. I think the three of them could keep it up, and he's a pretty decent potential rest of season hold.
So many Michigan men to choose from down in Columbus, which is a great contrast. But I'm going to avoid Kent Johnson, who I am drawn to certainly, but especially with several weeks, it looks like, of Zach Werenski being out. I think it's going to be another boost for Ivan Provorov. That gives me my eighth defenseman. A team with some depth in its sub 95% owned in the cupful. So again, not one that I mind going last on, and I'll grab Provorov here. He's going to see a short-term boost, and he's been okay the rest of the season. So a pretty nice fourth pick, if I do say so myself.
Interesting, because Severson actually has more points per game. I thought you might go there, but yeah, I think that either way, I almost went defenseman because I think this is one of the teams that it's decent. And Ken Johnson not getting picked also has some pretty good opportunity rest of the season. I think he went down to the AHL in case anyone didn't realize and tore it up and now is back doing better. So um, definitely some good options there.
Next, we're going to go over to the St. Louis Blues, where Torrey Krug, Justin Falk, Jordan Kyrou, Pavel Buchnevich, Robert Thomas, and Colton Parayko are all unavailable. Lots of defensemen off the board because that's how St. Louis does it. I am going to go with a guy who's, I believe, on the top power play. And you never know because I doubt that he's going anywhere. Maybe St. Louis will sell some pieces and he'll even get some more opportunity, and that's Braden Shen. Not the most points on the year, but I think there's a gap between him and there's other guys that you can dream on this team. But I think Braden Shen is the best player available.
Yeah. Victor and I have him, and I've been asking Victor if we should drop him. We're kind of like, maybe. I don't know.
Actually, I believe I got him from Jesse a couple of years ago. So
Yeah,
Jesse, you want him back in that league?
Yeah. Well, can I trade him to you in this league? You want to pay heavily? What do you got?
Oh, yeah.
What can you trade me, Vic?
Victor
There's no
has
trading.
Kurashev. That seems like a pretty decent deal, but okay. All right, so I get second on St. Louis. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's not so bad. I'll take Kevin Hayes, I guess. He used to be really good, and lately he's been not as bad as we thought he would be. So that's an improvement. So yeah, give me Kevin Hayes and over to Victor.
Mm. Yeah, this was one that I was okay, I guess, going later on, but it's really not. They're not great options. I definitely would have rather had Hayes or Shen, even though Shen's been a little bit low lately. I was telling Elon, I think he can bounce back. Um, but yeah, this is difficult. I think that there's a couple of options here. I don't think I'm spoiling anything for Lewis if I mention that Jake Neighbors is a decent option. Rookie, he's been playing really well this season, not getting the most time on ice though. And then Brandon Saad, who's like the most boring pick ever, but he's just always there, doing decently. I'm a little concerned with the time on ice that Neighbors is getting, and he's been kind of hot and cold, kind of up and down. Um, but and neither one of them are getting too much power play time. But I don't know what the heck. For the fun of it, I'm just gonna go Jake Neighbors.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think
that
that one's the
takes
way
the
to
stage.
go. That's where I think I would have grabbed. Obviously, I think Neighbor Star has fallen a little bit with his, from the heights that he was at earlier in the season. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab that extremely boring Brandon Saad because I don't know what exactly I can expect from any of my other options. So we'll have him there.
All right, so now we come to me getting the first pick in round 26. I'm going to blow you guys away with this pick. This is going to be a killer pick, and you'll hear it in just a sec. You're listening to Keeping Karlsson. Okay, we are back. Get ready for this. This is going to be, I think, one of the teams where there's a big difference. There's not even a big difference because the first guy also kind of stinks, but he's been decent lately. So I'm going to go to Colorado and give me, for now, top power play Jonathan Drouin, who's on a bit of a run. He's also been playing in the last game, actually. Drouin got some time with McKinnon and Rantanen. It looks like Nichushkin got moved down in this game against St. Louis, so we'll see how that shakes out moving forward. But yeah, Drouin's also been on the top power play. And looking at the numbers, we got 8 points in 8 games for Drouin. And I should mention that on Colorado, like a lot of guys are unavailable to be taken. Lehkonen, who will be back at some point, maybe bump Drouin from that top power play. But Devon Taves, Nichushkin, Makar, Rantanen, McKinnon, all unavailable. So I'll jump on Drouin here, and I'm curious to see how these other 3 picks will shake out.
Yeah, this was one of the teams that I actually didn't have single out to go first on, but I agree that I think Drouin is a real interesting pick. He hasn't been playing necessarily with McKinnon the all the time, but they're buddies from back in junior, and you kind of saw that maybe that would be happening in the off season. It's kind of finally come into fruition. He's finally doing a little bit better. Yeah, this is this man, the depth in this team has really taken a hit lately, but I am a huge fan of this guy, and I think I'm just gonna go with him because I absolutely love Bowen Byram, and I think that he was like one of the one of the depth reasons they won the cup when they did, because I think obviously they had the other strong guys, but he was incredible. And he's kind of struggled. He's had some injuries, but I think when he's on, he's great. And even though Taves often gets power play time when Makar has his injury vacations, but I think Bowen Byram has more to give, and I think that maybe he can take off rest of the season. So I'll finish my 8th D with Bo Byram.
All right. Well, not a lot of exciting options left, as we've been saying. And I'm kind of torn between a couple guys, one who's kind of an upside guy and one who's just kind of a guy who's there. And I think I'm going to go boring and I'll grab someone who, we maybe had a little bit of high hopes for. This guy. I can't believe he's almost in like the Jake Neighbors Cy Young level, someone we normally think of as a distributor. But Ryan Johansson with 11 goals and just 3 assists. Hopefully he can get in a few more of these apples to help boost his numbers here, but can't imagine he's going to keep shooting 20% for the remainder of the season. But maybe he can even it out a bit with some of those assists.
As someone who doesn't shoot that much, I looked at that too, Lewis, and it made no sense in my brain. How is Ryan Johansson doing this when he's such a low, I guess high efficiency, low volume shooter, but yeah, I mean, if it even continues half as much, you'll be happy rest of the season.
Yeah, 20% shooting, but he's got 3 assists on the year. It's unbelievable. Under a 50% points participation. So yeah, I that's who I would have taken too. I'm kind of surprised just because I know Victor's inclinations, and I would have. Oh wait, no, he did pick Bowen Byram.
Of course I did.
Well, I got so distracted doing my research on Ryan Johansson, knowing somehow in my mind you didn't take Bowen Byram, and I thought I was going to take him, but no, that's not going to happen. So instead, I guess I'll take a guy who's, I guess he's been scoring half a point so far this season, and while he's been out, he was out his last game. I guess I'll go with Ross Colton, relatively lowly rostered fella, but maybe he'll run into a couple points in the second half. Yuck.
Okay, Victor, you got it first now.
All right. Well, I think this is going to be a bit of a gift to Lewis, and you're welcome, buddy. Merry Christmas. But I think that I'm going to go to Montreal, and I don't need a defenseman. I think there's a good option there. And I guess I should mention who isn't available on Montreal. So they have just a few: Cole Caulfield, Mike Matheson, Nick Suzuki. And then they actually have a couple of guys that are just under 95%, but I think those are more for peripheral reasons. I like Sean Monahan, and I'm gonna take him. I think that it's frankly a little surprising. I think a lot of people thought his career was over when he was leaving Calgary and came to Montreal, but he's had a bit of a resurgence, and I'm on board with what he's doing, and I think he can continue more or less rest of the season. They have some exciting other options, but I'm gonna plant my flag on Monahan Hill, and I think I know where you're going, Lewis.
Oh, you're muted.
Muted there, sorry. I can't expect the shooting to maintain the way it has. He's got 5 goals, 5 of his 6 goals on his last 13 shots here, but on quite a nice little hot streak. A guy who I've had a bit of a love affair with for as long as I've been hockey content creator. But I'm going to grab Josh Anderson here. I don't know if that's the guy that you thought I was going to go for. There are some other people who maybe have some more appealing deployment. But lining up right next to Sean Monahan there, and I kind of like him for this hot streak, and maybe he can keep it going and have a better rest of season. I think I am leaving someone pretty appealing here for Jesse to grab, and I'm interested to see what his move is.
Yeah, what a guy. I'm going to go ahead and take first power play, Uri Slafkovsky, former #1 overall pick, right? I'm not imagining that. Disappointment a little so far in his career, not necessarily putting up the points right now, but he's going to get every opportunity, and Montreal will keep giving him every opportunity. and he's 94% rostered. So the Cupful denizens agree with me. This is actually this is giving a great opportunity to Elon too. This is one of those teams where you have lots of good picks to go from.
Everyone keeps passing the puck, being like, I'm giving a good pick to the next person. I'm giving a good pick to the next person. I would have had Slavkovsky as my first pick from Montreal. I think he's in the best spot. He's gotten some points recently. But I guess I need D. And David Savard, is that the one you were thinking? Or now did I leave the great gift off the table? But the Savard's been doing well since he came back. Wait, what's
I was
that?
thinking Savard. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got almost as many points per game as Monahan, and near the top of what's available. Even though he hasn't played too many games, but he's top line. He's getting tons of minutes, and maybe not top power play because that's Matheson. But yeah, I definitely thought that. I didn't think it would last till the fourth pick. I think you got a good one there, Elon.
Yeah, well, in points only, I don't think like Savard's going to be able to keep this up. He's never been like a big point producer, but I'll take him here since I needed D. He's never paced for more than like 30, or actually he has way back in 2014-15. Big year for David Savard, 36 points. But if you're in the Cupful or any league that counts hits and blocks, he's coming off a game where he had 4 hits and 5 blocks. So definitely, that's another guy, by the way, that I grabbed out of free agency, Victor, for our dynasty, and it's been working out really well for us. He's coming off 2 straight multi-point games, also before that big Periffs game. So yeah, I'll take Savard here. And now we go over to Lewis for his last couple of firsts. Oh, muted.
Yes, I am. All right. So I want to go to Calgary. And again, I think there's plenty to choose from here. This is not one of those teams that I had kind of singled out as one that I really wanted to make sure I was picking from early on, but I'm very interested to see certainly where everyone kind of goes here. I'm going to grab Igor Sharangovich. He's been on a nice little run, and I'm hoping that he can hold on to his very favorable deployment.
Man, do I go with my heart or my head here? This is a difficult one. You know what? I'm gonna go with my heart. I can't stop myself. I'm a Connor Zary boy, and I'm taking him with the
I love
second
it.
pick of this group. That's right, Connor Zary.
All right, this is a fun pick because this is probably a dumb choice. I'm gonna take the shot. You never know. Huberdeau, maybe big second half coming. Like he just needs to be half as good as he was in Florida, and it's a great pick. So we'll see. I saw he was skating on the top line recently. Maybe that could be the start of something if he's back playing with the aforementioned Sharangovich and Lindholm, who's not available. I guess we could mention the other guy's not available. So yeah, Anderson, Lindholm, Kadri, Blake Coleman's up to 100%. Look at him. And a Uyghur. Those are all the guys we can't take. I think we're leaving a pretty good choice here for Victor here. Though Victor already has 8 defensemen. So maybe it's not as obvious as it would have been otherwise. But yeah, so I'm going Huberdeau. We'll see. Victor, how are you going to finish off the Flames?
With some disappointment, because I definitely wanted Connor Zary. I'm a big fan. I wrote about him at EP Ringside. He's awesome and incredible, and you should go get him in a dynasty league if he's available somehow. But also in this format, yeah, he's looking like one of the top options. The most points per game of anyone available, even though he's played 10 fewer games than Sharangovich. Yeah, bold pick with Huberdeau. He just seems like someone it's a lost season, like he's not going to figure it out. But I'll go with isn't he the captain, Mikael Backlund? Yeah, I'll go with him. He's not maybe the most exciting, but he's always there. He's going to get tons of minutes. He's out when they have a lead, he's out there protecting it, maybe get some empty net points. So and roughly the same as most of the other guys. If I did need D, I would take back Hannafin for sure, because yeah, he's pretty decent, and he's been getting some time in there with Anderson as well. So but I'm happy with Backlund, even though I would have preferred Zary or Sharangovich.
All right. And then for I think my last first pick, we're gonna head over to Tampa Bay. Where I think, obviously the great options are all picked here. Sergachev, Hedman, Stamkos, Point, Kucherov, all at 100% owned. Nick Paul and Brandon Hagel are available, I believe, in one league each in the Cupful. And so the next highest is just 15% Cupful rostered, but I'm going to grab Anthony Cirelli. Being that second line center, this is a team that I think reminds me a lot of Colorado in terms of obviously really good, but the depth starting to really take a hit. But he is out there with Stamkos most nights. That's a guy who I think can provide me with some depth scoring on a team where most of the good options are already gone.
Sure, I don't mind. My favorite part of Lewis picking first is that I pick second because I really don't like a whole lot of options. And even though our league doesn't count hits, which would help, and even though he's not scoring all that much, I think Tanner Jeannot is the next guy who's going to have any kind of chance to get in the mix for Tampa this year. So I will take the former Nashville pugilist, Tanner Jeannot.
And the man who received an absolute king's ransom for his services.
Yeah, both his contract and the price they paid to acquire him from Nashville. Yeah, this is like, wow, Tampa's supposed to be so good. And like the depth here, once you get past the top two lines, like we're looking at, I'm trying to see like who even plays enough minutes. Like who am I worried? Like I'm looking at the other forwards available and I'm worried all of them are going to get healthy scratched at times. So maybe I should just do the really boring thing and take a defenseman. And then you look on D and it's like after Hedman and Sergachev, like who do they have that ever gets anything? So this is really this is a tricky one.
Nick
But I guess
Perbix.
I don't want Nick Perbix. I don't want any of these people. Most of these people I don't even know. I guess give me it's a terrible pick. I don't know. Give me Asamont. And he might get healthy scratched for games, but he gets points sometimes. He sometimes gets some second power play time with Cirelli and Jeannot. So I guess I'm finishing off that set there. I don't know. Maybe I should have just taken a D. But Victor, you can. Well, Victor doesn't even need a D, so go ahead. I'm curious to see where Victor goes here.
This is awful. Yeah. My least part of Lewis going first is that I'm last, and I definitely did not want Tampa last because I think there are only four reasonable options, and one of them is a D, and I don't need that. So this sucks. And yeah, looking at the deployment, it's pretty terrible, and you're pretty much looking at fourth liners now in terms of who you want. Although I guess I will go Connor Sherry because he has been the only one who has played up in the lineup in the past, and maybe he'll get opportunity there again. This is not fun, not a good pick, but I don't think there are better options.
All right. Well, now you can have some fun with your last first, which will be someone you're hopefully more excited about.
Yeah, they're. Hmm.
So to set the
See.
table, it's going to have to be someone from either Toronto or Edmonton or the Rangers. I guess that's who you're choosing from.
Yeah. Thanks for that reminder. I was just looking. I like. I had singled out one team that I wanted to pick from, but they have so many good options that I don't think I'm going to do that. I think, let me just look at one thing real quick here. Because part of it is like you want the best option on the team, but also you want someone who is gonna actually get a decent number of points, even if you're giving someone else a decent gift. And I'm gonna audible and go to New York because I think that I like that option the best. And I'm gonna go with Alexis Lafreniere. He has, by and large, been a bit disappointing, I think, but as a first overall pick. But we can all quibble about how his deployment has been, and certainly there's been a lot written about that. And I have long said that I thought he was more of a 60 to 70 point guy, not the sort of point per game plus people thought he was going to be, but he's been sub 40 point guy. But this season he's getting close to 50 point pace, and he's basically 10 points, 10 assists in 34 games, getting a little bit more time on ice and playing with Trocheck, who's back, and Panarin. So I like that. Probably won't get top power play time, but I like him better than some of the other options. So we'll go New York. And Lewis, where are you going?
Well, for my available remaining options, I kind of like this opportunity to take my last defenseman. Although it's not super easy to choose necessarily between
Sorry, Lewis, can I interrupt?
You have 8, man. You have 8.
You're set.
Oh, am I already at 8? Oh shoot. All right. Well, that's good. In that case, oh boy, yeah. So well anyway, there are some nice defenders to potentially select here. I just can't count all the way up to 8. It's such a big number. Um I am gonna take, I guess, an oldie but goodie here. We're gonna grab Blake Wheeler and see if things don't turn around for him a bit here. He's up there with Zibanejad and Kreider, so I feel like he's getting some nice opportunities. Second power play, he's got 5 points over the course of the last 5 games. So even though those minutes are quite low, he's an older guy. He's my age, so actually we almost have the same birthday. So he is, someone who maybe is, gonna be able to go out and give his best during those few minutes that he plays. And yeah, that's if I'm not locked into a D here, I'm gonna go ahead and grab Blake Wheeler.
I mean, you can take a 9th D, but both Elon and I would prefer that you don't, because
I figure as much. I think I know who's going next. Pretty easy to pick.
One of the few guys left who's still over half point per game. I'll go ahead. There's 2 good options here, but in terms of just some raw points, he was hot and then he was ice cold, and now he seems to be warm again, and that's Eric Gustafson. So I'll take him. He's getting second power play minutes. He's kind of the only guy on this team left who is getting those second power play minutes, but I have a feeling that Elon, if he chooses to go that way, will be happy with his options here. Elon, you're either on mute or I can't hear you.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah, I need another D, so definitely makes sense. In case people are curious, the guys who weren't available for us here: Fox, Trouba, Trocheck, Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, and then everyone else has been available. And yeah, so Lafreniere, Gustafsson, and Wheeler are gone. So I'll fill out my final D. And yeah, give me Keandre Miller, who's not getting power play time, but has gotten some points lately. Obviously, still a pretty young guy, only 23 years old. He's up to 16 points in 32 games, half point per game. Strongly buoyed by his last couple, where he has 4 points over his last 2, had 2 goals and assists versus Washington. But yeah, that finishes all of us up in terms of defense. So now we can all just pick whoever we want here. And it's my turn to pick first. And there's 2 teams left. It's either going to be Toronto or Edmonton. And I feel like, and then I guess the way I could also strategize, I'm going to have second pick then for the other one. So it's like, do I want to have second pick on Edmonton or Toronto? I feel like with Toronto, I'm good with like a lot of the options. So I think it's a pretty clear choice to go to Edmonton, who's like the opposite, where there's like nobody good at all. But if we look, okay, so if I tell you who's not available on Edmonton, get ready. It's a long list. Ekholm, Nurse, RNH, Evander Kane, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Hyman, and McDavid. Those are the guys I can't take. And you're probably thinking, well, who else even is on Edmonton? And believe it or not, I don't know if you've checked out the lines lately. Evander Kane's been on like the 3rd line. He's been playing with Derek Ryan and Matisse Janmark, leaving Draisaitl to play with Warren Fogle and Ryan McLeod. So I guess they're spreading things out. I don't know. But I thought it worked out in the last game, those against the Sharks. And who was that goalie? Krona? They really gave him a bad first start there.
Magnus Krona. Yeah, he's actually pretty decent. He won national championship at Denver. He's huge. His name fits him. But being a huge guy, he does open up some holes when he moves, and has some issues. But the Sharks also just laid a complete egg. I mean, they're terrible, but also played even worse. And they mercy pulled him because he was getting rocked, and it wasn't really his fault.
All right. So yeah, in that case, sorry for him, but I think it's a pretty easy pick for me. I'll go with Warren Fogle, who's playing with Draisaitl, which is good. And also he's on a bit of a streak. He's got 4 points in his last 4 games. I guess you're going to luck into some points every once in a while playing with Leon Draisaitl. So I'll take Fogle, and then good luck to the rest of you picking up these remaining Oilers.
Well, I would say good luck to the other 2, because I'm still pretty happy going second here, and I'm glad you made that decision, Elon, because I also am fine with some of the other options on Toronto. I was gonna go with them for my first pick, but I decided that I was also fine waiting on a Toronto player, but Edmonton is a bit sparse. And I'm going to go with Ryan McLeod. He's someone who, he's kind of approaching that 200 game mark, which is often a breakout for players. And he's a pretty effective defensive player. I think that him and Fogle, I think that really helps Draisaitl in terms of the two-way ability, but he's also obviously going to luck into some points, and he's hot right now, 6 points in 3 games. Actually just picked him up in the cupful, and he's been great. So I'm happy with that. Sorry for the other two because I don't think there are many other good options left, but I'm curious to see who you're going to pick.
Yeah, it is quite grim here down at the bottom. And this was a long time coming. This was a team that I thought about potentially picking, but I thought, hey, maybe I'll get to go second. Because I feel like Fogle and McLeod are kind of a coin flip there. But yeah, just so little to choose from. It's so bad that, in fact, I am going to go ahead and acquire myself a second or a ninth defenseman, because a lot of the depth forward options have like 2 points on the season. Cody Ceci has 9 points on the season, and is the guy I'm going to pick on purpose, I guess. So, maybe your Connor Brown gets back onto the top line and does something with it, but he seems to have gotten the curse of everybody else who gets hyped up as being the top line guy, the third wheel in Edmonton. So, give me a Cody Ceci, I guess, and I will choke back some tears and disappointment about that selection.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. See, after all the favors I do Elon, he gets in there and he says he'd be okay with the top 2 picks with Edmonton. Knowing he would have the second pick on the very last round, he decides to do me. Look at that. Because I have the 4th of 4 picks. I am going off the board here, completely off the board, hoping that maybe Edmonton will decide to call one of their best prospects up this year. Victor will probably tell me it's not going to happen, but I'll say Xavier Bourgault, who's at least in the AHL and doing okay for himself. I can't get elite prospects to come up fast enough to tell me more about the possibilities for this year, but I'll go ahead and take him because, frankly, there's just nothing good cooking on these depth things. I kind of agree with what Lewis said, that there isn't even really, I mean, you may as well almost go a defenseman. Yeah, he's not doing well in the AHL, 11 points in 24 games, but he is their top prospect, and hopefully he'll sneak his way up and, maybe get a taste on one of the good lines this year. Who knows?
So you're saying Philip Broberg isn't the top prospect on Edmonton?
He's debuted, but I don't know about that guy. I'm okay with taking Bourgault and hoping that he's going to do something for me. So
what about that guy Holloway? He's not the best prospect on Edmonton?
He's hurt among other things, and
right.
He hasn't looked all that great when he's been up either.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't nitpicking your pick. I was just thinking like, who is the best prospect on Edmonton? But I guess isn't that their goal? They're probably that goalie. A lot of people like that guy. What's his name?
No, he's not that good.
What's his name?
Olivier Rodrigue.
Yeah, I've heard people talking about him and saying they like
him. He's the son of their goalie coach. That's the main reason he even got picked. And the Bakersfield Condors are a very good team, which is part of the reason he's doing so well. But no, I mean, sure, if he plays, he'll probably do about as well as Jack Campbell. So enjoy that.
All right, so Jesse's gonna get 0 points from Xavier Bourgault as opposed.
Let's go ahead and take the. Yeah, we'll take the goose egg. What else are you going to do here?
I would have taken Sam Gagner. That's what I would have taken.
Oh, yeah? I guess.
Or Janmark.
He sneaks up to the line every once in a while. But no, I'm going off the board here, man. When there's no good picks, why not roll the dice at this point?
Sure.
And last, I guess, not many people follow this team up in Toronto, so the names are not particularly well known. I really had to study to try to figure out who plays on this team, but it turns out there are some players who maybe you would want. And the problem is the reason that they haven't been picked yet is there's just a lot of parity, I think, among the guys who are still available on the team. So with my last selection and to kick off the last round, I will go again with youth and hope and take Matthew Nice and hope he gets some opportunity.
Yeah, I was looking at Nyes. He actually has been off even the second power play in the last few games, which surprised me, but he is still on that line with Tavares and Nylander, which is good. Um, I'll just go with, or is it Tavares and Nylander? What are they doing? They always switch it around. Nylander, Tavares. Oh no, sorry. Nyes has been playing with Matthews and Marner, and then Tyler Bertuzzi has been playing with Tavares and Nylander. So I'll take the Bertuzzi, the other, I guess, third wheel here. Also a second power play guy for whatever that's worth. So over to Victor for the third pick on the Leafs. Oh, we should say who's not available. I mean, you can guess. The people I just mentioned, all the top Sixers, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander. Also, you can't take Morgan Riley. And that's it. Everyone else is up for grabs.
Yeah, I was really thinking when I left Toronto that you guys would leave one of my guys, Matthew Nyes. I talked about him, Elon, when I was last on Keeping Karlsson on our Calder show. I really, thought he could be great, and he, maybe has been a bit disappointing in terms of his total point production, but he's getting great deployment. I think when you watch the games, he's, doing a lot of other things other than scoring, and he's been pretty strong. So was hoping he would fall, and then Bertuzzi. So you guys definitely took the two best, but I think those still some pretty decent options for Lewis and I, which is why this team is going last. Not that we purposely tried to avoid one of the most popular teams for the end. But I guess I'm gonna go with someone who is third line, not getting too much power play time, but Max Domi is probably the next best option. Has of all the guys left, he has the highest points per game at 0.58. I don't know if that'll fully continue, but he's also gotten some time in the top six here and there. People think of him as more of a good two-way guy, but he's really not. He's really someone who's probably better suited on the wing. They just have other good options for the wings too. So anyways, Max Domi and Lewis, finish this off.
Yeah, I was definitely looking at Domi as a guy who might sneak through. Not a very exciting pick, but a guy I like and is playing right alongside. That Domi Robertson Yarncroke line is kind of interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and grab Callie Yarncroke here. Grab me the Iron Hook with my last selection. I like, isn't that a wrestling? Is that the name of that wrestling movie that's coming out soon? Is the Iron something? Iron Claw. It's the Iron Claw is what it is. It looks really good. If I'm not even big into wrestling, but the acting looks really great. There's my plug here. Yeah, it's not the Iron Sheik. No, it's like about three brothers who are growing up in a wrestling family. Looks pretty interesting. Anyway, yeah, I'll take Yarncroke. Robertson also interesting. He has been popping up on the sheet there. Only 1 point from Yarncroke in the last, let's see, 7 games here, which I don't like, but he's shooting. I like to see that. And hopefully he can keep things up. But I don't imagine. My guess is that Yarncroke and Nyes are not too different from each other. Like you said, this is why this is one of the teams that is coming in right at the end here. So, yep, I'm going to end up with 23 forwards and 9 defensemen. So I'm standing out in that regard. But pretty pleased with my team overall. I think I got some. I kind of like picking last here. I was able to jump on some teams that I really liked and that didn't leave a whole lot left for you all. So excited to see how this plays out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I guess we'll set this up on Fantrix at some point. We'll share the link in the show notes. For now, you can go to keepingkarlsson.com/draft. I've just set that up. That'll go to the spreadsheet here with the picks. But maybe then we'll just share the link to the Fantrax League in this spreadsheet, and then you'll go from there to actually, who's actually going to go and follow along aside from the 4 of us, see who's winning this thing. But yeah, you can go to keepingkarlsson.com/draft, like I said, and you'll be able to see the recap here of all of our picks. This has been a lot of fun. I think did we ever mention who won this thing last year? I don't think that ever came up.
Oh, I don't think there's a need to do that.
Nobody cares about that.
Oh, okay. Well,
no, you can mention it was you, right, Elon? Was it you?
I might have won by a small margin, but Lewis wasn't here, of course. So now maybe the competition is steeper. No, I mean, I guess that's throwing shade at Shams, who came second actually. So Shams, obviously, I'm just trying to be humble and somehow still making myself sound like an ass.
Elon, this is not your strong suit. Don't try to Don't try to do things you're not good at.
Wow.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode and also the part over on the Fantasy Hockey Live feed. We also released a patron cast recently. So if you're a patron of Keeping Karlsson, definitely check out the show that Brian and I recorded yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And we're going to be back with regular content coming to you. I guess I should do a matchup maximizer. Kind of haven't had that on my mind with all the holidays and New Year's stuff, but that might come soon. And then yeah, we're gonna be back with short shifts and regular episodes. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to Keeping Karlsson to get all that good stuff. Thanks again so much to Victor and Jesse for coming on here and doing this crossover pair of episodes with us. Do one of you want to jump on here and plug your podcast and any other of your great work? I guess I should have.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, keep listening to the Fantasy Hockey Live podcast. We come out every week on Sundays. We love to talk about the dynasty game, particularly for hockey, but we obviously are talking about a little redraft here. We have a lot of stuff throughout the winter, going through some stuff from our tier dynasty league. And we do have a Patreon. Victor's got a lot of prospect ranks up there. So if you're into that, come on over to Fantasy Hockey Life.
Cool. Yeah. And of course, Lewis, thanks as always for coming on the feed here.
Yeah, my pleasure. So excited and happy to finally get on a Fantasy Hockey Life. It's been long overdue. So thank you for organizing this, and I really appreciate the invite.
Yeah, and of course you'll hear Lewis's voice probably really soon with the short shifts coming up next week. All right, everyone, have a happy new year and good luck in the second half of your fantasy seasons. If your team is anything like mine in the Cupful, it's good. Every week is going to matter a lot. It's fun being in a really competitive league. Sometimes it's fun to be in a league where you're just dominating the whole time, which was my experience before playing in the Cupful. But this is exciting in its own way. So yeah. Hopefully everyone has a safe and fun rest of their holiday period. And we'll be back at you with many episodes in the new year. And until then, just remember to do your best to make sure that fantasy hockey is for everyone. See ya. Oh, nice. All right, cool.
Nice.
Thanks, everyone.
Outstanding.
Solid.
Well,
Thanks,
send
guys.
me send me the thing, Elon, and I'll get that up. Should we put that up tonight or tomorrow morning? First thing tomorrow morning, maybe, and you put yours up later in the day. How do you want to do it?
Yeah, that works. I could do mine like tomorrow night. I need to like edit this and kind of get it to you in some reasonable shape. So I'll try to get on that.
I'll let it up my half. Don't worry about that.
But I've got all these tracks. I'm gonna send you all 4 tracks separately.
Oh, okay.
Or I guess I could send you the first half just as one track.
If you could do that, that'd be great. Yeah.
All right. So anyways, I'll stop the live stream. No one was in the chat. I don't know. Maybe someone will come and watch afterwards. So thanks everyone who's checking out the